Hello everyone. So hope you are doing better and enjoying your preparation. This is how I say. Now 1 month is left. So it is a time to give your best. Give your whatever you have in terms of your potential, your energy, and you should appear with your fullest potential. So 1 month time is there and you should try to give your best by practicing, revising. This is how you should do that. So let's take that in the polity question. In polity question, the first question is related to elections. You know that elections are going on. So we are trying to ask some questions which we can think that they can be expected, or they are trying to test your understanding in that area. So what I will tell you that, or what we will tell that, it is not important that how many questions you do correct. What is important is testing your level of preparation. So whether we are able to test level of your preparation and whether we are able to enhance your level of preparation. If we are able to enhance your level of preparation, so that is how let's say we are doing good for you, or you are doing good for yourself. So that is what we have to understand. And let's see that from this question. The first question is trying to test your understanding related to nomination. When nomination is filed, and you know that how nomination is in News and Surat case and Indore case you can see. So in that case, you should know that nomination papers will be governed by, certainly not by constitution, because the Article 334 does not give details and there is no any election commission act. It means there will be rules, the rules which will guide, and that rules we can consider, it is called conduct of election rules. And then affidavit, a candidate has to file an affidavit. So along with nomination papers, that a candidate files nomination paper. Along with that affidavit is nothing but details of antecedents, let's say. You have to give details of your antecedents related to your whereabouts, qualification, your assets, other such cases against you, all these things. That is how affidavit. And then you have to take oath. You know that each candidate who files nomination has to take oath, and that oath is administered by the returning officer. And that oath is not, let's say we have tried to test your factual knowledge, one basic knowledge, and that let's say that oath is taken as per the third schedule rather than fourth schedule. So it is incorrect. It means option, let's say statement 1 is statement 2 correct, statement 3 incorrect, and statement 4 is also correct, because if you furnish any details in affidavit and those information can be found erroneous or wrong, and then it was given deliberately, so there can be disqualification. In explanation, we have given one example related to one MP from Karnataka, and Karnataka High Court disqualified that MP on the ground that the MP furnished erroneous information in affidavit. And that is how you can see that it may result, and that is how 3 statements are correct. It means the option C in this question is right option. Then let's take that next question. In this question, let's say now it is a question which is based on understanding. The first question was trying to test your knowledge also, understanding also, familiarity also, common sense also. Here it is, let's say, testing your knowledge. So the candidates may think that right to information. So RTI, since RTI is considered as a fundamental right by Supreme Court, hence most candidate may go for this option, a fundamental right. Yes. But let's read the statement properly what it says. The enactment of the Right to Information Act makes RTI. If you read the statement a bit, let's seriously, try to pay attention to that statement. So what you find? It's a enactment of RTI. Means when this law is made, when RTI Act was made, then what it results into legal consequence. So when RTI Act is enacted, it makes RTI a legal right. It makes RTI illegal, right? Because it is a law. It is a law. It does not have any consequence on constitution. Do you know that? RTI does not bring any change in constitution. It does not bring any change in our constitution provisions, including Article 19(1)(a). Even if court presumes that Article 19(1)(a) enshrines RTI and it is implicit fundamental right, but since RTI enactment does not bring any change in constitution, so then they don't come into picture at all. And this is not the option. Hence, if you read the statement, that is how the answer was lying in the statement itself. And that is how the correct answer in this question will be option A. This. And that is what we can say. Then next. So next question is, let's right to equality. Let's say it is now again based on understanding. We have been trying to ask at least one question from fundamental right, so that to test your understanding. If you see prelims questions, the UPSC has been asking more and more questions on fundamental rights, and those questions are not necessarily related to factual, you can say. So we have tried to strengthen your knowledge related to fundamental rights, and this you can say that given equality principle, we can say the equality principle, let's say people will be a bit facing challenge since we have given socio-economic justice. People may be able to, let's say, relate secularism, rule of law, this. They may be clear on secularism and rule of law, because secularism is also about giving equal rights. Sarva Dharma Sadbhav, you can say, or Article 25 to 28, you can say. And in those articles, this is how all enjoy equal rights. In fact, secularism is considered as a modern value, and it is based on, can say, liberal democratic principle called equality, because without equality there cannot be secularism, as we cannot treat all religions equal. That's why secularism, if you see, and rule of law, the rule of law is obviously related with equality. We have given in explanation some details related to secularism and some cases, even Indira Nehru case also you can say. The Supreme Court has also at times, while let's say passing its judgments, it has given emphasis on the link between secularism and equality. That way, let's say that both are related. Now the question is how it is related to socio-economic justice. So you should know that equality, if you have studied properly, equality under Article 1914, plus then, so equality is not only related to Article 14. Equality is also related to Article 15 and Article 16. And even Article, let's say, 17, that is called untouchability. So you know that many a time Supreme Court has given emphasis, including in reservation, that Article 14 should be read along with 15 and 16. And 15 and 16 deals with socio-economic justice. This you should know. So even if you take reservation as a matter and socio-economic justice, that point, so you will be able to link it. Then I will give another example, or you should have brought in your mind that equality, right to equality, also say that reasonable classification of society. Means we can have reasonable classification of society. Like Janhit case, which is related to EWS, in that Janhit case EWS, also let's say that EWS reservation was justified on the ground that it brings reasonable classification. Means EWS is considered as a separate class, and that classification is considered reasonable. And because of that, we can say this equality promotes socio-economic justice. In fact, for socio-economic justice, fairness is important. You know that. Fairness is important. Elimination of any sort of privileges, discriminations are important. And because of that, let's say that it promotes socio-economic justice. That way it is linked. Now, natural justice is part of justice, you know that. Now, justice as fairness, you know that, fairness. So, can there be fairness if we do not have equality principle? This. So now natural justice, if you see, so at times let's say that the Supreme Court has told that this they should be read along with Article 21. This. So when the let's say matters related to social justice comes, when the matter related to let's say vulnerable sections comes, and then we talk about social justice, dignity, respect, livelihood. So those things are related to Article 21, and Article 21 is known for natural justice. It means let's say values are interconnected and they promote each other. Let's say they are embedded and one is not possible without the other. So we cannot see them in separation. That's why all the four are promoted. If you say the equality principle promotes all the four. It means this D will be considered the right option. This. And that way we can take on this. So next, now we have tried to get a random question, test your again, let's. So it is related to temporary suspension of telecom service rules. You know that internet suspension becomes quite frequent. So suspension of internet and this and that, telecom services. So even now exams are conducted, SSC, etc. Then let's say that there is cancellation of suspension of internet connection. So then we try to look into these rules. Let's say the rules were brought in 2017, and as per rules, you know that they can take a decision. Right. Decision to take suspension of internet services can be taken at union level by Union Home Secretary, state level state Home Secretary. And in case they are not available and situation is demanding, urgent, in that situation, you should know that the decision is taken by a joint secretary level officer or above. But district magistrate is not the functionary who takes decision related to, you can say, suspension of internet. Here you should know that district magistrate takes decisions related to invoking section 144, not let's say suspension of internet. This you will wonder to know, but in explanation we have given, you can read the explanation properly, so you will come to know district magistrate is not, but I guess people may have gone with a district magistrate. This you can say, people, let's say what it say that, not a competent authority. So people may have gone with option C, they may have guessing rather than option D, because they think that the district magistrate suspends internet services. That we can say. Then one scheme related question. We try to make questions diverse from different, let's say that sources. So this we can say that this is scheme related. So it is being implemented under the umbrella scheme, skill development program. It is Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. So in that, let's say yes, this option A is correct. Question is saying that incorrect. This. So you may have given focus, let's say that this incorrect, correct. So it is asking incorrect, but option A is correct. This. Then it is a central sector scheme. Is it a central sector scheme? No. It is not a central sector scheme. Central sector scheme means 100% funded. It will be 100% funded by government, means government of India. But even if you do not know this and you are familiar, aware, you have been reading newspapers properly, So you know that the scheme is also implemented at state level. So then you should have thought, suppose you do not know about central sector aspect, so you should have thought while attempting this question that I have read also that there is a scheme at state level, a state skill development program, so how that scheme is funded. So that could have stopped you here. So it is not fully funded by center. Rather, it is not, let's say, central sector scheme will be fully funded. But this Kausal Vikas Yojana is not a central sector scheme. It is a centrally sponsored scheme. And when it is a centrally sponsored scheme, so it is funded by both union and states. So union gives 75% and state gives 25%. Hence, B option is incorrect. This you can say. And this is how then you don't have to read the other two options. It is, let's say, right choice. This. Now, just to explain, at national level, you may have heard this National Skill Development Corporation. Similarly, at state level, there is State Skill Development Corporation. And it is for Skill India Digital. Basically, it is one component of the Kausal Vikas Yojana. It is a component of Kausal Vikas Yojana, and that is how it is also correct. So, right option in this question is B. Let's take this article. It is a bit in-depth question. It demands a bit of, again, if you apply your bit understanding, then you may minimize, narrow down your options. Means the right option you can move towards. Let's how we can apply our understanding. So all citizens have right to form association, union, cooperatives. It is very clear. It is also mentioned under Article 19(1)(a). This, it is, let's say, mentioned in Article 19(1). Basically, C, you know that. It is related to 19(1)(c). This, it is correct. Now, no citizen has a fundamental right under Article this to become a member of a voluntary association, this, and cooperatives. Now, if you apply while reading question, your some common sense that time, you can get that, see, we can have fundamental right under Article 19(1)(c) to form any association. Forming any association is one thing, like say cooperatives, and becoming a member of that association is entirely different thing. Can Constitution guarantee, right, citizen that they have right to become member of any association? Not at all. How can Constitution guarantee this? The Constitution does not guarantee, let's say. That is how, let's say, the no citizen has, yes, it is also correct. No citizen has right to become member of any voluntary association as per Constitution. But the right to become this association, right, is a statutory one. Now this is how you have to take a call. Because if 3 is correct, 4 is correct. So probably you should have gone with by this taking risk. Taking risk by making it this D option as correct. You have to take risk because you cannot know each and every statement. Why? Because you see two similar statements, because 3 is correct, so 4 is correct. So more, let's say, the possibility will be that both will be correct. Now we have to see that it can be statutory right. How it can be a statutory right? So a law can prescribe membership, qualification for the membership. So we have Society Registration Act, Cooperatives Society Act, you can say. So those acts can define qualification and criteria to become member of any such association. And because of that, let's say, if you fulfill that criteria, you can become member. And because of that, it becomes a statutory right. Statutory right is a kind of legal right if the law defines at all. And we do have Society Registration Act, Cooperatives Act. And because of that, and that's why even statement 4 is also correct. So we have taken a bit details of in-depth aspect to test, which also depends on guessing a bit, especially 3 and 4 statement. And that way we can say. Now it is a bit GK type of question, but if you have paid attention, So you should know that there are different committees. In past, UPSC has also asked question related to cabinet committees. That way you can say. So once they ask question, so we have just tried to test your knowledge, how much GK type of knowledge you have. So it shows that basically Prime Minister is not, generally Prime Minister as a healthy convention you can say, as per these things are decided, Government of India allocation and transaction of business rules 1961. Be it group of ministers, empowered group of ministers, cabinet committees, these things are defined as per this. So generally let's say Prime Minister is chairperson of appointment committee of cabinet. He is chairperson of this. He is chairperson of this. You can say, and he is generally not chairperson of C. This is how you can see this written. So generally this committee chairperson is either Home Minister as a healthy convention, but as of now it is Defence Minister. Defence Minister is the chairperson. Why? Because Rajnath Singh was made chairperson of Parliamentary Affairs Committee to accommodate him, as he is the important leader, you should know. Rather, I will tell you the inside story that when he was not made chairperson, he offered to resign, and that is how then later on he was accommodated and made chairperson of Cabinet Committee of Parliamentary Affairs. Otherwise, Home Minister, generally as a convention, he becomes the chairperson of Parliamentary Affairs Committee. So it is a bit factual question, knowledge, and testing your knowledge related. Then regulatory bodies. So we have tried to ask, generally we try to ask one holistic question just to test your understanding related to that area. That may force you to further improve your knowledge if you lack knowledge. Instead of asking a particular question, a specific question, we try to ask a bit generic, holistic question. So this question indicates related to regulators. There are sector-specific regulators. Why we have written sector-specific regulators? To make it abundantly clear that it is about specialized regulators, not the way you have knowledge. You consider any institution as regulator, including CAG, Election Commission of India, even ministry departments also you consider. So that's why the term that we have written. Now let's say that it is about SEBI, RBI, that type of, let's say, organizations. So they are a statutory body. Generally regulators are created by statute. So it is correct statement. So they are, let's say that is statutory in nature. It is correct because they are created by Act of Parliament. Yes. You know that they can make law, they can make rules, they can execute rules, and they can adjudicate rules. So they are given, let's say that all these three types of powers, including power of civil court. That is how uniqueness about regulators. That is how regulators which are specialized regulators and regulators which are bureaucratic, there are, let's say, differences between them. So when we today talk about regulators, we generally talk about specialized regulators in the field of market we have created. And let's say they will have, let's say, so it is also correct statement. Then if you take their member chair, let's say 5 years or 65 years. So if you are aware about the common problems of regulators, which were also highlighted by, you know, that ARC second. So they do not have, let's say, uniform tenure and also service conditions. They may not have 5 years, like say given RBI governor is appointed for 4 years, not 5 years. Some regulators can have 3 years tenure, some can have 5 years, some can have 4 years. So it is not, let's say, correct statement. Hence, it is wrong. And they are not, let's say that president has no role to play. Rather, their members and chairpersons are appointed by government. Let's say it is written government rather than president. Hence, this statement is also not correct. And therefore, let's say two statements are correct. It means the right option will be B. So, then let's say that 72, it is very basic and factual question. And it means all the 4 statements are correct. So no need to explain this much. It is this. Now what you should have done, you should have taken a guessing if you do not know. So what we have tried to know, it is very basic. So we are taking your, let's say, very basic level of knowledge. Have you paid attention? Because at times they have asked questions like that, you know. At times they have asked questions like that. So do you pay attention to the very basics of, let's say, that your GS preparation? So this you should have taken. That is how I can tell only about this explanation. Nothing to explain except one thing. You have to give attention to very basic things also, which are, let's say, which you may expect that your question may not be asked. It's so basic and very difficult thing also. This. So option will be D. This right option, correct option, D option. Then another question related to governor that we have asked. The two questions we have asked, back to back two questions related to governor, and it has been done deliberately. Now it is a question related to address, and they, you know that address by governor has remained in news, you know that in recent times. So it is testing whether you have improved your knowledge, or you have, let's say that whether you have correct knowledge related to address. And in this question, let's say that the fourth statement is something which you may do wrong. Otherwise, first three statements, if you have read polity seriously, so you know them. So yes, it is after commencement of first session every year and new session of, let's say that new government, you can say. So first session of that, it is address, and yes, it is correct. It can be considered as correct. You can consider this. It is mentioned 175 article, 176 article. This, it is mentioned similar related to President of India 86, 87, you know that. It is mentioned. Then the content of the address, yes. Now the question, let's say that, this content. So when president or governor gives address or speech in that house, so basically whether they read their own written speech or they read, let's say that the speech prepared by the government, so certainly they laid down the policy of the government. So when they lay down the policy of the government policy will be determined by government, not by the formal heads, governor or president. This you have to understand. So policy, let's say that the statement of policy is state government, right, and drafted by the state government, since governor or president has to act as per aid and advice of council of ministers. So by that way, let's say it is also correct. And certainly if you have read politics, it is considered motion of thanks. And this motion of thanks is that after address there will be voting. This, so that can be also considered as correct. This. Then next comes, let's say that if the motion of the thanks. So it is a statement which we have made to just throw a trap for you. It is like a trap for you, know that. Are you entrapped in this? So certainly motion of thanks, if it is defeated, it is humiliation to president rather than, let's say, government. Government can be indicted, embarrassed, but government will not fall because it is not a no confidence motion. Although thereafter the opposition party can bring no confidence motion, which is altogether different, and it is not mentioned in the constitution. It means the first three statements you can consider. So it will be option, correct option will be C in this question. The correct option for this will be C. The C3 statements will be correct. Now, next, another, let's say from this session we have asked, another question we have asked. Largely we have asked question, let's say governor related, session related, and you know that special session was called, and it was in news that the government may call a special session. So that's why just we have asked one question related to a special session. And in that special session, let's say that let's take that this sessions. So ours, let's say that India does not have fixed parliamentary calendar. You may have done incorrect also, because you think that there is a fixed parliamentary calendar. That parliamentary calendar is related to 3 sessions. But those sessions are there, but still details of the calendar year, means let's say any year, are not prepared, they are not known in advance. So that is how we can say yes, it is correct. Other countries, especially it is a feature of US and UK, they have details of the calendar year, they prepared in advance because their parliament meets regularly rather than through sessions the way we have the sessions. And it is because of that, let's say that yes, it is correct statement, but we have to say not correct. The power to convene session parliament rests with the government. Now you may have thought it is president. President is advised by the government. The sessions of parliament are called on the advice of, let's say, called by president, but on the advice of government. The government decides when we have to bring a session. This, it is correct. Then special session. You hear the name special session, but it has not been defined in the constitution. You should know that the article is, if you go, so 85, 86. So basically they will deal with sessions of the parliament. But they do not mention any term called special session. Rather, we say it as a special session. A special session is similar to a session called by president. Since we have 3 fixed sessions, let's say, or defined sessions, budget session, monsoon and winter session, and then let's say that we call any other session for any special meeting, so that we say as a special session, but in parliamentary language it is still a session rather than a special session. And because of that you can say that it is incorrect. So by this itself option become that. Question is solved, you don't have to read this. Yes, parliament does not, it can be summoned by president. The summoning of parliament and calling a special session, convening the session. This you can say, you have to understand who actually takes decision, president or the government. This, and there is no any bar on, let's say, parliament meeting, let's say. It can be held when government desires. That is how special sessions are called. In explanation, we have given you some of the examples how special sessions are called. Like let's say that special session was also called related to, I guess, GST bill was introduced. That you can say in 2017. Recent time also in 2023 it happens. So that way you should know. So hence this question has option C as correct. Then power to grant remission. So since it has been, again, let's say that we have tried to frame conventional questions based on current developments. That way, this is how we have been trying to test your also understanding and knowledge. So this decision was taken, remission. You should know that, let's say that imprisonment. First, remission means, let's say that cancellation, reduction, that you can say. The remission is, let's say, granted by, it is the responsibility of a state government. The correct option is this. They are not correct. Why? Because prison is a state subject. Prison is a state subject. Once any person is punished and the person undergoes imprisonment, after punishment, let's say that, the imprisonment comes under state. State is responsible for managing, running prisons, taking decisions related to prisons. That way, although union government can support through its policy and other things. So that way we can see, and that is how it has happened. And this, let's say that when you take that prison this way, now union government, it does not take, they do not. Now let's say that how we were, let's say that what is the rationale behind asking this question. The remission basically, Bilkis Bano case, you know that. This, so state government, Gujarat government gave, let's say, remission to 11 members. On the basis of its own prison policy, That policy, present policy is 1992. This. Now you should know that first technicality is that which policy decides remission. That when the person is convicted, or that time policy, or when person has completed, let's say, life imprisonment or certain let's say duration, and if there is any change in policy thereafter. You should know that Gujarat government has a policy in 1992, then in 2013-14 it changed its policy, since central government changed the policy. So it gave this remission as per 1992 rather than 2014. This is one. Second, while taking decision, state government does take, let's say that, jail advisory authority. The jail advisory authority, let's say, is asked to give its view on, let's say, giving remission. That can have jail authority also, any judge also, let's say, that member. So that plus it asks also is that districts, the jail, the prison where it is located in the district magistrate, superintendent of police. It can ask also any investigating agency, the investigating agency which has investigated, like CBI investigated, the CBI can also be asked to give its view. High courts, means respective high court can also be asked to give its view. That they can give view, but ultimate decision to take any remission related, it lies with, we can consider, state government, and that is how state government option is correct. Technicality of, let's say, remission is that remission can be given, but in Bilkis Bano case, the technicalities are, it is not the Gujarat government, rather the punishment was given by the Maharashtra High Court. So it is the Maharashtra government which is authorized that technicality. When any crime has been committed by the inmates, those who are in jail, and that crime has its own, let's say, that wider repercussion on society, conscience of the society, rather than only individual, let's say, consequence. In that case also, remission cannot be granted. That is how court has told. And that is how it is struck Gujarat government decision. These are other technicalities we can say related. Then let's give one more question related. So how, let's say that conviction related. So although it was in news, it remains in news time to time, especially let's say that of Ansari, Gazipur, and that Gazipur, let's say that his candidature has been in question, whether he can be disqualified. Last year, Rahul Gandhi and that related case, it is a technical aspect, let's say. It is testing whether you have read these details or not. So let's say that Representation of People Act. So representation of people like this, it deals, in this we have section 8 and then clause, let's say that, clause 3 you have, clause 4 you have. It has been struck, now we have this 3. Right. So it says that, this section says that if anyone is convicted, right, if the conviction is less than 2 years, the less than 2 years, so it should be 2 or more years, 2 or more. It is less than 2 years, so it is correct. If the conviction has been stayed by the High Court, by a higher court, sorry, so we have written a higher court, yes, the specific court cannot be, let's say, mentioned. So yes, it is also correct. This you can consider. This is also correct. Why it is correct? So we'll tell you that why it is correct. Then we have to also know the difference between staying sentence and staying conviction. Then if the case has been appealed in the Supreme Court, it does not matter. It is immaterial which court you have appealed. Merely appealing does not result into, let's say, qualification or disqualification. It is not related. Now we have to understand between 3. So 3 is also not correct. Basically, first 2 statements are correct. So correct answer will be this. But let me explain these things. You have to understand the technicalities related to section 8, Clause 3, Section 8, Clause 4. Section 8, Clause 4 was struck by Supreme Court in Lily Thomas case in 2013, right, which says that if appeal was filed within 3 months, so then there will not be disqualification. So then in that case, it could have been correct. But then appeal wala section has been struck. Then we have to see the difference. So basically, Supreme Court in Ravikant Patil case, Ravikant Patil case 2007. It says that if conviction has been stayed by a high court or a higher court, then in that case there will not be disqualification. That's why Rahul Gandhi, when he was convicted, he was disqualified. But when appeal went to High Court, then Supreme Court, and Supreme Court stayed the conviction, so then he was not disqualified. He was again qualified, means his qualification was, means his candidature was, let's say, revived after Supreme Court staying. When sentence is stayed, in that case you should know, sentence is stayed, it means the punishment continues. Only let's say that sentence has been stayed, right, means there is delay, let's say, in execution. Like from tomorrow it can be executed, day after tomorrow it can be executed. So there will be delay in execution, but there will be execution. So it does not affect punishment, the quantum of punishment. Like the person can be given relief that he may demand he needs 15 days, 20 days, 10 days time before he goes under punishment. That is how you can say sentence is stayed. Right? But disqualification continues. So therefore statement 3 is wrong. This is how. So read the explanation that has been given. What we will say is that if any candidate is disqualified, means any candidate is punished for 2 or more years, then person is disqualified. Less than 2 years, person is not disqualified. Then if let's say that conviction has been stayed by a higher court, then in that case also person is not disqualified. In other all cases, person will be disqualified, and that is how we can consider. So this. And then next, asymmetrical federal polity term, once they have asked also related to prelims. So it is testing your knowledge related to asymmetrical. Symmetrical means let's say there is almost equal relationship between union and states and among states. Know that. This is how. US is known as symmetrical federal state, because all states have equal powers, and between union and states, you know that union has not been given more powers vis-a-vis states, you can say. Ours is a country where union enjoy union of states. It itself makes our federal polity asymmetrical, because union has more powers vis-a-vis states. Among states also, all states do not enjoy equal powers. This, like say in Rajya Sabha, these seats are as per population, because Rajya Sabha represents interest of the state, bicameral legislature. So this will be correct statement. This will say as correct statement. Then there are some special powers enjoyed by, yes, this is how we told that. Some states have special powers. So why they should have special powers? Then it makes other states, let's say, disadvantageous. And then it will also be correct. Then union territory, again, so some union territories, they do not have legislature. Let's say 2 union territories, they have legislature. So again, it is making asymmetrical aspect. This. And then let's say that geographical and let's say that demographic, you can say. So on the one hand, we have the UP state, which is, let's say that almost equal to Europe. So such a big state which gets even 17% of finance commission share. And that this 17% of finance commission share is equal to, let's say that shares given to all southern states. So all southern states share they get through finance commission transfer is equal to what UP gets all alone. That is how 84th Amendment Act was also done to postpone a symmetrical federal polity. It means that all the statements are correct. This the option is D. And then last, this I think second last, it is terrorist. Let's say that it is a question just to test your random knowledge. You can see yourself from this. It is related to this Government of India Act in 2019 brought amendment, and let's say even an individual can be declared as terrorist by this law. Before that, only terrorist organizations were declared as terrorist. This you read that details. Nothing to explain much. And the last, I think second last. So it was also in news default bail, and this is the definition of default bail. These are definition. This is a definition of a bail when it is granted. This is interim bail which is granted. You can say, and this is anticipatory bail which is granted. The definitions are given. You can read it. Factual question. So D, which is given when charge sheet it not filed. Let's say this is investigating failed to file any report complaint when it has promised within the time frame. The time frame recently it was related to enforcement, let's say directorate also, and some cases also in which Supreme Court gave default bail. So that way we can see this. You read it. The last, so we have asked, and almost we'll say that the last question related to local bodies. So this is how, let's say that the district planning committee. So a bit detailed question, and it is decided by state legislature, let's say that. So Article 243 ZD, you know that this it has provision. So compositions related to district planning committee, their members, nominated members, elected members, role, functions, all these things are decided by state legislature. Means the state has to bring an act for that to define their power and functions. Although this Article 243 ZD does give some provisions, macro provisions related to district planning committee. So this is how from politics section, and you can see that the questions that we ask, so questions are related to basic, factuals, understanding, comprehensive knowledge, in-depth knowledge, all sort of things that we are trying to test. So it is testing that pattern that you should be more aware, you should benefit, not necessarily related to the question that you do right or question that you do wrong. Why we are saying this? Because the questions are trying to test your level of knowledge, level of preparedness, rather than let's say that how many questions you do correct. Why? Because that level of preparedness you should improve once you find that this is how I lack, this is how I missed in this. This is how I did not pay attention. There are times you can do a question incorrect because you do not pay attention to the question itself. The common sense you do not apply. Factually you have not improved yourself. Factually you are not right. Factually you are not sound, you can say. When we say special session of parliament, governor's speech, or let's say session by governor, let's say address by governor, you can say. So that way we are trying to improve your level of preparedness. This is our aim, not necessarily how many questions you do correct. So all the best for your next test.
All right. Yes. Hello everyone. So my name is Lakshmikant and I will be covering geography and environment section for this Panchsutra Test-3 GS paper discussion, right? So you may have gone through the paper and yes, of course, your feedback is very important for us. Now, talking about the nature of questions that UPSC is asking consistently, we are following that trend like you can see in geography, statement 1 and statement 2. So, somehow that is assertion reason type of questions. So, from climatology, oceanography, frequently questions are asked from that kind of we can say framing. We are also framing such kind of questions. Also, the places in news or the mapping section is elaborately covered in these papers also, like last 2-3 years UPSC is emphasizing. From environment section, the coverage is very wider by UPSC itself. So we are also trying to cover as much as possible the environment section and different aspects like pollutants is there, or the environmental law rules related questions, or the pollutants. Okay, so let's go in detail of each and every question one by one. And yes, you can ask the question in the comment box. We'll surely address your queries also. You can read the detailed explanations later on also, which is available in the description of this video. All right, the first question, consider the following statements about earthquake waves. So this year also in 2023 UPSC asked questions, but that was largely related to P waves and S waves. So we are trying to cover in this, the question is related to surface waves, right? Surface waves. We can expect such question because it is one step ahead, we can say. So let's try to understand what this it is talking about. Surface waves are produced due to interaction of body waves with, we can say, surface waves. That is true. When we talk about the earthquake waves, these waves are generated as a part of release of energy at the focus, we can say focus of earthquake in the earth crust. Now, when these waves are generated, first of all, the body waves are generated, they are P waves and S waves. The basics you know about the P waves, primary waves and S waves and its differences. Now, talking about the body waves, what I was doing, surface waves. Surface waves are generated when the body waves are interacting with the surface rocks. Okay, so the first part, it is the definition itself, they are produced with the interaction of body waves, that is P waves and S waves, with the surface rocks. Now, the surface waves act as a transverse waves like S waves or secondary waves, and they are more harmful. Okay, why we are saying more harmful? Because they are actually destabilizing the surface of the earth. So that's why that becomes more harmful. They can destabilize or destruct the infrastructure that is there on the earth's surface, be it buildings or roads and other infrastructure. Now, talking about the other aspects of surface waves, deep focus earthquakes produce stronger surface waves as compared to shallow focus earthquakes. Now, here the concept is involved. Yes, when we talk about the deep focus earthquake, that means around, we can say 200, 300 kilometers deep inside the earth, they are deep focus earthquakes, and such kind of deep focus earthquakes are observed when there is a convergent plate boundary especially, right? Now, these deep focus earthquakes, when the earthquake waves are generated, most of this wave energy is dissipated when it is reaching to the earth's surface, and that's why the surface waves that are generated due to deep focus earthquake waves are not that much stronger as compared to those generated due to shallow focus earthquakes. So what this statement is talking, deep focus earthquakes produce stronger surface waves. So this is incorrect. It is, we can say that, the other way around. Most of the shaking felt from the earthquake is due to Rayleigh wave. Now there are two types of, we can say, surface waves. What are these? Those who have done our, we can say, PT 100 classes, or we can say marathon also, marathon batch, we had discussed about these two types of waves, which is, one is Rayleigh wave and other is Love wave. Yes, so what are these two waves and what kind of vibrations happens here? So most of the shaking of the, let's say, earth felt from the earthquake is due to Rayleigh wave. Why? Because the Rayleigh wave is basically simply when we let's say move the carpet like this. हमने घर पे हमारी बेडशीट भी ऐसे dust throw करने के लिए ऐसा किया होगा. So the wave that is produced there is basically Rayleigh wave, and you can see because of that more destruction happen. So here the material is basically moving upside down. Now that is called as Rayleigh wave. What is Love wave? In Love wave, what happens is the movement of this material is happening sideways. Okay, it is happening sideways. It is direction of movement of wave, but the the material of the medium is vibrating like this one. Okay, so we can say that that is Love wave. So most of the destruction happens because of Rayleigh wave. This is correct statement, and that's why two statements are correct here. What would be the answer? Answer will be B here, right? Okay. Now moving on. Yes, so this is the second question. Now what should be answer to this one? Statement 1, statement 2. So I was telling you the concept based question we are asking in this type of questions. Glaciers have more erosional power as compared to rivers. Now when we talk about the agents of erosions, we learn about the fluvial landforms formed by the river, or glacial landforms formed by the glaciers, or wave cut landforms formed by the waves, or we can say karst topography formed by the groundwater work, or aeolian landforms formed by the wind erosion. ठीक है, तो अगर हम कंपेयर करते हैं इरोजन पावर, सो वी नो दैट द इरोजन पावर इज, we can say that of these agents, if we see, it is more dependent on kinetic energy of these agents of erosion. So we can say that the glaciers have comparatively, यहाँ पे देखिए, kinetic energy of rivers is more than glaciers. That is true. We can say that rivers move fast as compared to glaciers. But the erosion power of glaciers is exception here. Why? Because of sheer mass of glaciers. Sheer mass of glaciers, it is very high. And because of that, what happens is there is more, we can say, gravity, and along with that, we can say that the abrasion caused by the glaciers, plucking, abrasions and plucking. So this erosion power is very high of glaciers as compared to rivers, and that's why first statement is correct. Second statement is also correct, but do we have the explanation of first statement in the second statement? No. So we can say that second statement is independently correct. Both statements are independently correct. They are not explaining each other. We can say answer would be here B. So you should not get confused here, because we can expect such kind of questions where you can have the problem in whether, let's say, understanding whether it is the reason or explanation, statement 2 is explanation of statement 1 or not. But यहाँ पर काफी clearly आपको समझ में आता है कि क्या problem है, ठीक है? तो glaciers, they have more erosional power. Why? Because of their weight or mass. Now next question, in the similar, let's say, nature of framing, the eastern coast of India has several depositional landforms. Yes, we know about that. Like eastern coast of India, we have several, we can say, lagoon lakes, coastal plains are very wider there, or we can say several bars, spits, they are formed there, right? So we know eastern coast of India has more depositional, but what is the reason? Eastern coast of India is an example of emergent coast. That is true. We can say because of emergent nature of coast, we have shallow continental shelf. And because of that, what happens is waves, instead of doing the erosional work as we see in the western coast of India, eastern coast of India, the waves are having the depositional work there. And this is how the depositional landforms in sequence. If you see how the depositional landforms are formed, so you should be also ready with such kind of question. Depositional landforms, like first of all, there will be formation of bar, then barrier, or we can say spit or barrier bar, we can say. Then there can be spit, then can be lagoon lake formation, and last we can say that there can be coastal plains. Ultimate, we can say, result is formation of coastal plain. So this is the sequence, we can say, formation of coastal landforms. Statement 2 is explaining the statement 1 correctly, so answer would be A here, right? Moving on. Yes, the mapping aspect, we can say some of them are static, some of them were in news. Like we can see the last year Turkey, there was earthquake, severe earthquake, and because of that it was in news. Anatolian plate was in news, peninsula, Asia Minor, that region. This is correctly. Now first one, Sinai Peninsula. Yes, Sinai Peninsula is continuously in news. Why? Because yes, it is connected to, we can say, Israel and that region where we are witnessing some kind of refugee crisis there. Sinai Peninsula is always in news. It is not in Israel, it is in Egypt. Okay. Sinai Peninsula is the region where we have the Suez Canal. That region, we can say, from the eastern part of Suez Canal, from that region Sinai Peninsula bolte hain, Egypt hai. Now बाजा और बाहा कैलिफोर्निया पेनिनसुला, तो ये कहाँ पर लोकेटेड है? वी नो दैट कैलिफोर्निया is located in US, but you may get confused here because Gulf of California and Baja California Peninsula is not located in USA, rather it is located in Mexico. ठीक है, so see the atlas and try to have the follow up on all these mapping sections. So this is incorrectly matched, this is incorrectly matched, only one is correctly matched here. So other peninsulas like Iberian Peninsula where Spain and Portugal is located, so ये सारे जो मेजर पेनिनसुलाज है आपने स्टैटिक पार्ट से एटलस से कर लेना चाहिए. ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर. ओके, मूविंग ऑन. यस, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Prevalence of onshore winds, all these things are mentioned. How many of the above are possible reasons for the formation of desert? Yes, so desert formation happens because of combination of various factors. We can say the major factors like persistence of high atmospheric pressure. Like what we have is subtropical high pressure belt. Okay, subtropical high pressure belt. So what happens here? There is atmospheric stability. That means the wind is coming down and staying near the ground, so there is no movement of wind in upward direction, no condensation, precipitation, so there is a dryness continuously persistent throughout the year. So most of the tropical desert, Atacama desert is there, or Namib desert is there, even Thar desert or Sahara desert or Mojave desert in US. So all these are located along the we can say this subtropical high pressure belt. ठीक है, तो this is correct statement, we can correct one. The second important aspect is we can say movement of cold ocean current along the coast. ठीक है, cold ocean current, like for example Atacama desert, if we take, the Humboldt current is moving there along the Chile coast. ठीक है, तो Humboldt current is there. Then if you see the Namib desert, we have Benguela current is there, Benguela current. Or if you see the other let's say deserts, so you can see that the cold ocean currents are flowing. यहाँ पे देखिए warm ocean current लिखा हुआ है, this is incorrect. Okay, warm ocean current will provide more moisture for the wind. When the wind is coming onshore, there can be rainfall. So such kind of, let's say, warm ocean current is not suitable for formation of desert. Then prevalence of onshore winds. See, onshore winds will always, basically these are the winds flowing from ocean surface to the land surface. So they can carry moisture and there can be, we can say, condensation and precipitation when they arrive on the land. So onshore winds, there can be rainfall. But if you talk about offshore winds, they are dry winds and they do not yield rainfall, and that's why prevalence of offshore trade winds is very common aspect. Like we have where the Namib desert is formed, there the prevalence of offshore winds is there. So there is no rainfall because of that. So onshore nahi, offshore hona chahiye tha. Now rain shadow effect, yes, that is true. If we take the example of, we can say that Mojave desert, Rockies mountains are there, or cold deserts. ये तो सारे warm hot deserts की बात की हमने. Cold desert, if we take example in India itself, Ladakh. Okay, so Ladakh is a cold desert formed due to, we can say, rain shadow effect of Great Himalayan Range. We can say this is, we can correct statement, क्योंकि यहाँ पर cold या hot desert की बात नहीं की है, desert की बात की है. So you should be ready with, let's say, such kind of conceptual clarity. यहाँ पे दो ही सही है, second and third. So answer would be B here. So such kind of concept based applied questions can be asked in the examination. यही geography का एक trend रहा है question पूछने का UPSC का. Now how many of the pairs are correctly matched? Now we wanted to go in detail asking about the physiographic regions. Why? Because yes, old NCERT, if you see geography, it used to cover such kind of terms or terminologies. In past, UPSC has asked such kind of, let's say, local terminologies of physiographic features. Now these are North Indian plains, the features of North Indian plains, physiographic features. Dhur is basically the elevated piece of land situated along the banks of Ganga river, especially in the upper Ganga Yamuna Doab. What is Doab? Doab, that means the land between two waters. Ab means water. ठीक है, तो There we see such kind of, let's say, elevated piece of land. Why? Especially because of the dry winds during the summer time period of the year. They are blowing in that region. They are depositing continuously the sand there, and such kind of, let's say, elevated piece of land is being formed. That is called as bhur. Then there is Ray. Ray is, we can say, the saline lands in the drier areas of Haryana, and this, let's say, Ray is being extended due to excess irrigation in these, we can say, regions, Punjab, Haryana region. So saline lands, बंजर लैंड जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि वहां पर जो बैरन लैंड्स आर, लेट्स से, स्प्रेडिंग, दीज आर द रे. ठीक है, तो रे होते हैं ये. दिस इज ऑल्सो करेक्टली मैच. व्हाट इज रोही? Yes, Rohi is a fertile tract on the eastern part of Thar Desert up to, we can say, that the Aravalis. Now these are, we can say, drained by the seasonal streams like Luni River and many other seasonal streams originating on the western boundary of or western slope of, we can say, Aravalis. So this is correct statement, we can say, Rohi. What are betlands? Yes, betlands, they are not the Bhangar belt, rather they are the new alluvium, that is Khadar belt in Punjab and Haryana plains. They are highly fertile plains, we can say, betlands jo hota hai. This is incorrectly matched. So 3 pairs are correctly matched here. Only 3, that is C, is the correct answer. So remember these, and we have tried to, cover, as we can say, relevant topics here in such kind of questions. Very important for our examination. In past, you can see such kind of questions, reservoirs and rivers and dams. It is very common question from the static part of mapping section. Shiv Sagar, Gandhi Sagar. Gandhi Sagar, last year itself they have asked Gandhi Sagar across Chambal River. This is correct. The first dam across, we can say, Chambal River when it is crossing Madhya Pradesh to Rajasthan. Then in Rajasthan we have the, let's say, other dams like Maharana Pratap Sagar and all the other dams are located there. Now, Gobind Sagar Dam is very famous across Satluj River due to Bhakra Dam, where it is located in Himachal Pradesh. So we can say this is correctly matched. Now Shiv Sagar, इससे confusion हुआ होगा आपको. ये दो तो पता हो गया आपको mapping section से. Shiv Sagar, it is located in Maharashtra, but not across Krishna River, but its tributary, that is Koyna River in western Maharashtra. It is also called as Shivaji Sagar. Shiv Sagar, very, let's say, large reservoir formed here. One of the largest man-made lake is formed here. Also, we can say wildlife sanctuary. So, Koyna, okay, Koyna Dam is very famous. Why? Because it has caused the reservoir-induced earthquake in India in 1960s. This is incorrect, we can say. Only 2 pairs are correctly matched. B is the correct answer. Now, moving on. Description based question, very standard question, and we have to identify the iron and steel plant from it. Directly from NCERT we have taken this description, and I guess you could have attempted this very easily. This steel plant, ऐसे description के time question में key term or key information you need to identify and mark the correct answer or eliminate the options. This steel plant was set up in 1964 with Russian collaboration. Key information, Russian collaboration. We had 2 such, we can say, iron and steel plants with Russian collaboration, Bokaro and Bhilai. Okay, तो दोनों है ऑप्शन में वहां पर. और आगे चलते हैं. It receives iron ore from Rourkela region and the wagons on return take coal to Rourkela. Basically, this was formed as a Bokaro-Rourkela complex. What happens here? From Rourkela in Odisha, we can say it is bringing the iron ore, and in return from Bokaro, from Jharia coal fields, the coal is going back to Rourkela, where we have again the steel power plant there. Along with, we can say, thermal power plant. Now, we can say from that also you can identify Bokaro is the correct answer. Water and hydel power is supplied by Damodar Valley Corporation. This is correct, DVC. So we can say A is the correct answer, Bokaro in Jharkhand. Yes. No. We know Bhilai is there in Chhattisgarh, Durgapur. तो बाकी के भी आपको पता होने चाहिए. जो फॉरेन कोलैबोरेशन के साथ में भिलाई रशिया, जो बी से स्टार्ट होता है वो रशिया के साथ कोलैबोरेशन किया है हमने. दुर्गापुर, इट इज लोकेटेड इन, वी कैन से, वेस्ट बंगाल, एंड वेस्ट बंगाल में हमने जो है यूके के साथ कोलैबोरेशन करके ये सेटअप किया था, यूके, ब्रिटेन. एंड द फोर्थ वन इज रूरकिला जर्मनी, कोलैबोरेशन विथ जर्मनी. सो मैं हमेशा स्टूडेंट को एक शॉर्टकट बताता हूँ, रुर-जर, ऐसे याद रखिए, रुर-जर. और दुर्गापुर, माँ दुर्गा, वैसे भी याद रख सकते हैं दुर्गापुर कहाँ पर है, तो वेस्ट बंगाल में है. एंड वेस्ट बंगाल के लोग जो है फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल ड्यूरिंग ब्रिटिश टाइम पे, ब्रिटिश इंडिया, दे वर वेरी वी कैन से अगेंस्ट द ब्रिटिशर्स एंड दे वर एट फोरफ्रंट व्हेन दे आर लीडिंग द फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल. तो उस एंगल से भी आप याद रख सकते हैं. ठीक है, तो आंसर हियर इज ए. ऑलराइट, मूविंग ऑन टू नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Which of the following statement is not correct? Okay, not correct, it is saying we have to identify incorrect statement with reference to Mines and Minerals Amendment Act 2023. I wanted to cover this. Why? Because the recent developments are very important. These amendments to Mines and Mineral Act is very important because of, let's say, changes in the critical minerals, atomic minerals and their classification. We have identified 30 such critical minerals. And there is somehow privatization or liberalization of mining sector, especially for critical minerals. And the new kind of licenses have been, let's say, introduced here, the kind of exploration license. It introduced exploration license, which will authorize the either reconnaissance or prospecting or both activities for specified minerals. This is correct, we can say. Exploration license will be granted by central government through competitive bidding. Now here the specific information, it is the state government which will conduct the competitive bidding according to the norms and regulations, rules, regulations set up by the central government. State government will conduct the competitive bidding, but according to, we can say, the rules specified by the central government. So it is incorrect statement, and we have got the answer. B is the answer here. The exploration license will be issued for 5 years and they can renew later on, or it can be extended further also. On case by case basis. State government must conduct the auction for mining lease within the 6 months of submission of report by the exploration licensee. And accordingly, the exploration licensee, if the resources are proved, then the exploration licensee will get certain amount in this particular, we can say, auction. ठीक है, तो what should be the answer here? B is the correct answer. All right. Now, which of the following statement correctly describes the term global dimming? Yes, although it is covered in geography, it is overlapping geography as well as environment, because climate change is also part of geography. Global warming, we know that because of greenhouse gases, global warming is happening. But the exactly opposite term is global dimming, that is reduced temperatures, atmospheric temperatures. But reduced atmospheric temperatures, not due to decline in amount of greenhouse gases, but we can say it is the reduced amount of solar insolation reaching the earth's surface due to increase in air pollutants and aerosols. So what is happening is, there is increased amount of aerosols, like particulate matter is there, or due to volcanic eruption also aerosols are getting added into the atmosphere. Due to vehicular pollution also the particulate matter is getting added. तो उससे क्या हो रहा है कि these aerosols and air pollutants, they are scattering the light back into the space also. It is not reaching, the solar insolation is not reaching as such we can say on the earth's surface, and that may result into global dimming over the period of time. So basically answer here is B. ठीक है, term based question in environment and geography there can be question. Yes, if you are traveling across the peninsular India, see in past UPSC has asked questions like this. If you are traveling across the peninsular India, which of the following birds you can observe, इस तरीके से framing हुआ है. ठीक है, especially in August month, which one of the following crops you may not see in the farmlands? In the August month, which cropping season we have? Kharif. And in peninsular India, ज़्यादातर हम बोलेंगे southern states. ठीक है, central and southern state, peninsular India. तो खरीफ क्रॉप्स आप देखिए यहाँ पर नॉट सी बोल रहा है, मे नॉट सी इन द फार्मलैंड, यानी कि आपको रबी क्रॉप कौन सा ये आइडेंटिफाई करना है. इसमें से यू हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई द रबी क्रॉप. वी नो दैट राइस, बाजरा एंड अरहर, दीज आर वी कैन से खरीफ क्रॉप्स. दे आर मोस्टली ग्रोन इन खरीफ सीजन. Gram is prominently grown during the Rabi season. Why? Because it requires 1 or 2, we can say, episodes of rainfall. It requires very less amount of rainfall. And that's why the peninsular states like we can say Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, they grow this gram during the Rabi season. So A is the correct answer here. Okay, A is the correct answer. Yes, so these were the geography questions. Let's continue with the environment section with reference to National Carbon Registry. So yes, every year minimum 2 questions they are asking from the international initiatives related to climate change, environment protection, biodiversity conservation. Right. With reference to National Carbon Registry, consider the following statement. This particular initiative is of UNDP, United Nations Development Program. It has developed this open source software, National Carbon Registry, which can be used by national governments at national level to effectively manage national data and process for trading carbon credits. This is correct. Initiative of Union Environment Ministry, this is incorrect. Okay, UNDP का initiative है. It will be interoperable with the Global Climate Action Data Trust (CAD) Trust launched by World Bank. This is also we can say correct. So interoperable होने की वजह से क्या होता है कि data can be we can say optimally used here. One data from particular software can be used in other software. So we can say this is correct. 2 statements are correct here. B is the correct answer about National Carbon Registry. देखिए नाम national होने की वजह से आप confuse हो सकते हैं. नाम national होने की वजह से आप confuse हो सकते हैं. That's why we have asked this question. All right, next. Santiago Network. Yes. So Santiago Network officially launched at UN Climate Conference Glasgow. Glasgow में जो summit हुआ था COP26. So Santiago Network is not let's say outcome of COP26, it is outcome of COP25, happened in Madrid, Spain. Okay, and it is related to we can say technical assistance to developing countries for addressing loss and damage caused by climate change related extreme weather events. So this is correct, we can say the objective of Santiago Network. UNEP host the secretariat of this network. This is incorrect. UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. ठीक है. This host we can say this Santiago Network. अब ये थोड़ा सा अलग है, बहुत ही specific information है, so you may get confused here. This is incorrect. So only one statement is correct here, and that's why answer would be A. Answer would be A. Yes. Next question. All right, again statement 1, statement 2. In India, wolves are listed under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act, giving the highest protection. Right? It is highest protection in the lines of we can say tigers, lions, elephants. Schedule 1. Why? Explanation. The breeding of wolves with dogs in India is causing genetic erosion among the. So one of the threat for declining population of wolves is that the interbreeding of these wolves with the dogs, and because of that there is genetic erosion is happening in the country. So this is correct and correct explanation of statement 1. That's why they are given more protection, highest level of protection. So answer would be A here. There are different we can say types of wolves in India, like Himalayan wolf, which is classified as vulnerable, peninsular wolf, which is classified as we can say that the what we can say endangered, and the Indian wolf largely let's say having the habitat of drier areas, semi-drier and semi-arid regions of Rajasthan and that region. So they are classified as least concern. ठीक है, तो A is the correct answer about this wolf. Now, yes, we have to identify now incorrect statement. पहले आप कमांड देखिए, हमेशा हर क्वेश्चन में क्या देखना है, कमांड देखना है क्या है, then read the question statement. The livestock sector emit methane and nitrous oxide. See, most of the students know that livestock emit methane. Major source of methane, anthropogenic source is livestock sector along with paddy cultivation. But most of the students do not know this aspect. Nitrous oxide, which is one of the greenhouse gas, that is also emitted by livestock sector. So this is we can say correct. Forest fires, volcanoes are the source of particulate matter. Very obvious. ठीक है, particulate matters. Dust particles, they are released by we can say forest fires and volcanoes. That is very common aspect. Refineries and industrial boilers are sources of ozone pollution. Yes, refineries. Ozone pollution मतलब ये कौन सा है? Ground level ozone pollution. Ozone act as a pollutant when there is we can say ground level ozone, and which is a secondary pollutant, right? And this is formed due to reaction between, we can say, the nitrogen oxides in the and we can say VOCs, volatile organic compounds. These volatile organic compounds are released from refineries or industrial boilers. So we can say that third statement is also correct. All three statements are correct. Incorrect पूछा हुआ है, so answer would be here D. So most of students may miss out reading this command, incorrect command, तो वो आपको ध्यान रखना है. How many of the above mentioned agro products, crops, waste have been permitted by the government of India to be used for co-firing in the thermal power plant? Now, whenever such kind of question is there, answer is most of the time all of these. Most of the time. आपको मतलब इतना डिटेल में इंफॉर्मेशन याद रहना भी मुश्किल है. Recently, Ministry of Power had amended its earlier notification in 2023, and now many agro products and waste products, they are now allowed to be used for co-firing in thermal power plants, like pine needles. Recently used maybe pine needle power plants in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, especially in Uttarakhand. So in Uttarakhand, recently the forest fires are becoming major concern, especially because of this pine needles or pine cones accumulated on the ground, and which is acting as a fuel for these forest fires. तो वहां से भी आपको लॉजिक देखिए, इंफॉर्मेशन कहीं से भी अप्लाई करिए. आप जहां से पढ़ रहे हैं वो इंफॉर्मेशन आप यहाँ पे अप्लाई करिए. सो ऑफ कोर्स इट कैन बी यूज्ड. तो ये तो है ही. देन पैडी स्ट्रॉ, वी नो दैट इट इज यूज्ड. कैस्टर सीड शेल्स तो यूज कर ही सकता है. सीड्स तो ऑफ कोर्स ऑयल के लिए यूज होगा. एलिफेंट ग्रास ड्राई होने के बाद यूज कर सकते हैं ऑफ कोर्स. ये लॉजिक यूज करके आपने मार्क कर लेना चाहिए था कि ऑल ऑफ द अबव. ठीक है, डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर हियर. ऑल राइट. Which one of the following statement is incorrect? Again, the command is incorrect regarding this particular chemical compound, nonyl phenol. Nonyl phenol is the chemical used for, we can say, surfactant, production of, we can say, surfactant, or we can say that detergents, phenols. जो phenols वगैरह होता है ना, जो हम टॉयलेट साफ करने के लिए वगैरह यूज होता है, उसमें यूज होता है. Also, it is we can say used in as an additive in plastics, especially to make the plastic flame retardant. To make the plastic flame retardant. So first statement is correct. Incorrect देखना है. It can contaminate drinking water and disrupt endocrine function in the human. Yes, harmful impact on the human health. Bioaccumulative in nature, not readily biodegradable. This is also correct. We can say it remains in nature for long period of time. Due to its toxic nature, it is completely banned in India. See, it is not completely banned in India. Rather, its use is restricted in, we can say that, or not, we can say it is banned especially for cosmetic products. ठीक है, कॉस्मेटिक प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए बैन है, बट बाकी जगह पे अभी भी यूज होता है, स्पेशली इन प्लास्टिक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. सो दिस वन इज इनकरेक्ट स्टेटमेंट एंड डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर हियर. ठीक है, डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर अबाउट दिस नॉनिल फिनॉल. ठीक है. Yes, in geography, in environment section, we learn about different, let's say, processes that different animals are doing as a part of adaptation, or we can say that as a principles of ecology. Brumation. So hibernation हम पढ़ते हैं. NCERT में क्या क्या दिया हुआ है? Hibernation दिया हुआ है. Like polar bears. Then we can say that there is estivation. जैसे fish करता है estivation. है ना. There is also brumation. ठीक है, तो brumation is a strategy of behavioral adaptation as seen only in case of reptiles and amphibians. This is correct. Cold-blooded animals, ठीक है, found only in reptiles and amphibians. What happens is during summer, especially extreme temperatures, the cold-blooded animals are not able to adapt according to the external environment. That's why they escape from that. As a part of escape, they try to reduce the metabolic activities. उसको brumation बोला गया है. But this is different from hibernation and estivation. How? Because the animals which brumate can wake up on random warm days to bask in the sun and drink water to avoid dehydration. So intermittent waking and sleeping cycle is there. हाइबरनेशन में 6 महीने के लिए क्या होता है, कंटिन्यूअसली हाइबरनेट हो जाता है. So this is different from hibernation. This is correct statement and this is, we can say, correct statement, but you can see that it is not the explanation. It is not the explanation. Both are independent statements, so answer would be B here. ठीक है. Now regarding this, how many of the statements? Not all the mammals, not all the, some mushrooms, इस तरीके से फ्रेमिंग जो हो रहा है, तो उसकी वजह से आपको ये तैयार करना है. ठीक है. नॉट ऑल द मैमल्स आर विविपेरस. विविपेरस जो है डायरेक्ट ऑफस्प्रिंग्स को बर्थ जो देते हैं, तो उसको विविपेरस बोलते हैं हम. ठीक है. नाउ नॉट ऑल द मैमल्स आर विविपेरस. दिस इज करेक्ट बिकॉज सर्टन ग्रुप्स लाइक एकाइडनस, certain species of extant species of echidnas, they are basically oviparous, but they are mammals. Why? Because when they give birth through, let's say, laying eggs, after hatching of eggs, they are basically feeding the newborns with milk. ठीक है. The mother feed the newborns with milk. That's why they are mammals. So this is correct, we can say. Now not all the mammals are herbivores. हम ही देखिए, हम भी मैमल है और हम हर्बीवर्स थोड़ी है, हम तो खाते भी है ना. तो हम क्या है, दोनों भी है, हर्बीवर्स भी है और कार्निवर्स भी है, या हम बोल सकते हैं वी आर ओमनिवर्स. तो दिस इज, वी कैन से, करेक्ट. नॉट ऑल द रेप्टाइल्स आर ओविपेरस. दैट इज ऑल्सो करेक्ट. सर्टन स्पीसीज दे आर विविपेरस इवन इन रेप्टाइल्स. ठीक है. तो दिस इज ऑल्सो करेक्ट. नॉट ऑल द रेप्टाइल्स आर कार्निवर्स. दैट इज ऑल्सो ट्रू. सर्टन रेप्टाइल्स आर, वी कैन से, herbivores. So this is also correct. All 4 statements are correct here. D is the correct answer regarding this. ठीक है. So generally ऐसे क्वेश्चन में 4, मतलब चारों स्टेटमेंट सही होते हैं. जैसे सम मशरूम वाला भी आपने देखा होगा, चारों स्टेटमेंट सही थे. ठीक है. Now with reference to aim for climate initiative, aim for climate is agriculture innovation mission. Agriculture innovation mission for climate. This initiative was launched on the sidelines of, we can say, COP28 and not COP28, COP26, we can say, Glasgow summit. And this was US led initiative. US and UAE together launched this. US and UAE. So increasing investment in climate smart agriculture. This is correct. India is the founding member of this alliance. No, India is not the founding member. India joined it later. India is a member. India joined in 2023 later. ठीक है. तो this is incorrect. Only one statement is correct here. Only one statement is correct. ठीक है. Now to reduce the chance of being captured by the predators, how many of the above organisms use nematocyst as a defense mechanism? So every year they are asking such kind of questions. Defense mechanism. Which of the above animals roll up as a defense mechanism? ऐसा क्वेश्चन 2021 में आया था. What you can say, pangolins and all. ठीक है. तो they are asking such kind of question. Nematocysts are a specified kind of, we can say, cells or organelles, and these are basically they release toxins to ward off the predators. ठीक है. तो nematocysts are unique in, we can say, especially cnidarians like corals और jellyfish और hydras. ठीक है. और even sea anemones. ठीक है. So yes, sea anemones मैंने पिछले कोई एक टेस्ट में आपको एक्सप्लेन भी किया था, how they are basically having the symbiotic relations with what we can say, a particular kind of fish that we have. And उससे क्या हो जाता है कि they are having tentacles, जहाँ पे ये टॉक्सिन रिलीज कर देते हैं, तो वहां से जो प्रीडेटर होता है वो मर जाता है. ठीक है. तो यस, सी एनोमीज. तो सी कुकुम्बर जो है वो उस एग्जाम्पल नहीं है, ये इनकरेक्ट है. तो ऐसे सिचुएशन में ऑल 4 मार्क नहीं करना है, ये बहुत ही स्पेसिफिक इंफॉर्मेशन है. Only 3, that is C, is the correct answer about this particular defense mechanism. All right. Which of the following organisms uses social learning to spread and follow the same foraging pattern for the food, such that even after discovering the alternative option, they repeatedly choose to use the same method that they had seen earlier. A unique kind of thing, let's say waggle dance, last year question. ठीक है, तो ऐसे जो बिहेवियरल ट्रेट्स होता है यूनिक स्पेसीज के, तो उसके ऊपर क्वेश्चन बना रहे हैं. तो बम्बल बीज, रिसेंटली द रिसर्चर्स हैव डिस्कवर दिस पर्टिकुलर बिहेवियर अमंग द बम्बल बीज. बी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. ठीक है, बी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. ऑल राइट. Which of the following best describes the term adaptive radiation? Adaptive radiation is, we can say, one of the ecological principles, especially as a part of evolution and spread of animals, plants and animals. Adaptive radiation, that means the different species are radiating from one place to other geographic regions. Now, you can see the options. तो यहाँ पे solar radiation वगैरह लिखा है, albedo लिखा हुआ है, ये incorrect है. फिर से solar radiation. Diversification of group of organisms into forms filling different ecological niche. So we can say D is the correct answer. Elimination method भी यहाँ पे काम कर जाएगा आपका. ठीक है, adaptive radiation. Now within adaptive radiation also can be categorized as adaptive diversification and adaptive convergence. ठीक है, adaptive diversification and adaptive convergence. Like for example, adaptive diversification. जैसे फिंच स्पेसीज, बर्ड स्पेसीज है गैलापागोस आइलैंड के, तो वहां पे क्या हुआ है, गैलापागोस आइलैंड्स तो आइलैंड्स है ऑफ कोर्स, वहां पर जो फिंच स्पेसीज, बर्ड्स के स्पेसीज है, सो व्हेन देयर पॉपुलेशन इंक्रीज, द फूड रिसोर्सेज डिक्लाइन, एंड एज अ पार्ट ऑफ एडॉप्टेशन स्ट्रेटेजी व्हाट हैपेंड देयर, दे स्टार्टेड इवॉल्विंग डिफरेंट मॉर्फोलॉजिकल फीचर्स, स्पेशली द साइज एंड शेप ऑफ देयर बीक्स चेंज्ड, and this is how they started eating different insects. तो उन्होंने फूड हैबिट्स उनकी चेंज कर दी और रिसोर्सेज चेंज कर दिए, so as to maintain the balance, ecological balance. This is how the changes in the ecological niche happens with the evolution. The other example of convergence, you can take the example of marsupials in Australia. So what happens here, these marsupials of different species, like we have kangaroo, or we can say koalas or kangaroo, marsupial rats are there. They all have the pouch where they have the newborn offsprings. They feed, protect these newborn offsprings, but the common feature is there, but these are different species. तो वहां पे क्या हुआ है, एक ही जगह पे वो रह रहे हैं, but there is a common feature, तो उसको हमने convergence बोला गया, adaptive convergence. So these questions can be asked. Answer here is D. All right. Moving on. Which one of the following species does not follow any specific pattern of operating in a certain space, unlike other big cats? तो big cats की बात हो रही है, and can therefore wander freely in the forest without worrying about the other predators. Yes, the answer here is clouded leopards. We know that Bengal tiger, leopards, caracal, they are territorial animals. The clouded leopards, they are, we can say, unique in terms of variety of territories they can enter and live. Why? Because they are arboreal also. Okay? They can climb the trees, they can live on the branches. Because of the flexible body structure they have and the tail they have, it helps in, movement of, let's say, a critical movement when they are climbing and climbing up and climbing down the trees. Clouded leopards, most of the population in clouded leopards we have in northeast India, आसाम, त्रिपुरा. ठीक है, नॉर्थ ईस्ट में त्रिपुरा में क्लाउडेड लेपर्ड नेशनल पार्क इज ऑल्सो देयर, वेस्ट त्रिपुरा. ठीक है, त्रिपुरा में. सो ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर. ओके, फाइन. विच वन ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज द करेक्ट सीक्वेंस ऑफ फूड चेन? तो यहां पर शायद आपको सही आया होगा, बट कंफ्यूजन ए और बी में रहा होगा. बिल्कुल. डायटम्स, वी नो दैट डायटम्स आर द फाइटोप्लैंक्टन्स. In marine food chain, if you see phytoplanktons, diatoms are there. Then copepods are zooplanktons. They feed on phytoplanktons. Then there is shrimp. Shrimp feed on zooplankton. This is correct. And then there are isopods. What are isopods? Isopods are basically the animal, we can say, family. They are living as a part of, we can say, fish family only, but they are largely crustaceans. They are crustaceans, and these crustaceans largely living in the deep sea areas. Okay, deep sea areas. So there you can see that the dead shrimps, they are eaten by the isopods. So we can say that A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer for this question. All right. Scavengers kind of let's say होते हैं isopods, जैसे terrestrial animals में wood lice होता है, isopod का example. Now, how many of the above mentioned are plausible results of direct seeding of rice? DSR methodology is being famous especially for rice cultivation as a replacement of transplantation of rice method, which is problematic, which is, we can say, water intensive practice. It is problematic for extra efforts, cost and time put in by the farmers, and also the resultant greenhouse gas emissions like methane emissions. Now, with this particular method, direct seeding of rice, demand for irrigation water will be reduced by almost half. This is correct. The weed proliferation rate is quite high. Now, this is, we can say, disadvantage. अब आपको लग सकता है कि ये गलत होगा, but this is the disadvantage, we can say. Why? Because in transplantation, what happens is there can be removal of weed when we have transplantation from one place to other place. तो वहां पर क्या हो सकता है कि वीड इतना नहीं होगा, बट यहाँ पर एक ही जगह पे डायरेक्ट सीडिंग ऑफ राइस, इसकी वजह से वीड ज्यादा स्प्रेड होगा क्योंकि फर्टिलाइजर पानी दिया जाता है स्टार्टिंग में. Methane emissions are significantly high. Now this is incorrect. Around 30 to 70% methane emissions are reduced. तो high नहीं है, ये incorrect है. First two are correct, so answer would be B. A little bit difficult because we are asking in detail about these techniques and its significance. Now, correct statements about ESZ, eco-sensitive zones. They are defined under Wildlife Conservation Strategy 2002 for the first time. That is correct. We can say eco-sensitive zones are the zones at the periphery of protected areas. Like wildlife sanctuaries, national parks are there. At the periphery of those, we can say a kind of buffer zone is created, and the polluting activities are restricted here in these eco-sensitive areas so that the animals, they are not harmed, as well as reducing man-animal conflict. Eco-sensitive zones, they are notified under, we can say, provisions of Environment Protection Act 1986. Okay? Environment Protection Act 1986. So we can say that first statement is correct. The guidelines given by UN Ministry of Environment stipulate that the boundary of ESZ should not exceed 10 km around the protected areas. See, 10 km is the standard, but it is not the fixed, we can say, norm. Rather, it can vary from 1 km even to more than 10 km, depending on the nature of protected area and the area available surrounding to it, so that the state government can, identify it properly. So we can say this is incorrect. Should not exceed, it can exceed. Now, ESZ has to be identified, declared and notified by respective state government. No, they are identified by the state government, but they are declared by Union Environment Ministry, that is Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. This is incorrect. So only one statement is correct, that is A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. Okay? Okay, so these were the environment questions. If you have any doubt, you can ask in the comment box of this video and we will try to address your query. Do give the next Panchsutra tests next week and thereafter the 5th test. Fine. Okay, thank you.
Hello everybody. Now we are going to discuss the history and culture section questions from Panchsutra 3 Prelims test. So question number 21 to 25 and question number 81 to 90, means total 15 questions will be discussed now. So the first question is related to ancient India. Here are given 3 statements and we have to see how many of these statements which are given here are correct. So let us read them out. Let us read the question. Consider the following statements regarding the economy during post-Mauryan period. So here we are given the statements which are related to the post-Mauryan period. Now the first statement is, India's trade with Rome declined but grew with Central Asia. Is this statement correct? No. Why? Because India's trade was thriving and it was almost at peak with Rome or Roman Empire during the post-modern period. So it did not decline. So decline word is wrongly used. But grew with Central Asia, that is also not true. So this statement goes wrong. Now the second statement. The highly developed foreign trade was carried out mainly by road because of limited naval expertise. Now this statement is also to be scrutinized. This is wrong. Why? Because the trade was carried out via land routes as well as through sea. So to say that it was carried out mainly by road because there was limited naval expertise is wrong. India knew the art of or science of shipbuilding and used ships for a long distance trade. So this statement is also wrong in the context of post-modern period. Now the third statement. Artisans were organized into guilds which acted as bankers under the state control. Now artisans were organized into guilds. That's true. Artisans or merchants were organized into guilds. Guilds were the bodies of merchants or artisans which acted as bankers under the state control. This is wrong. So they sometimes acted as bankers, but they were not under the state control. They were autonomous bodies, right? So, and mainly they were not bankers. Mainly they were in the profession of what you can say organizing, controlling the activities of a particular genre or craftsman engaged in a particular craft. Right. So this statement is also not fully true. So all the three statements are wrong. We can say how many of the statements given above are correct? The answer should be D, none. Now we go to the next question, question number 22. So 22nd question. This is related to the history of Northeast India. The question is asking us something to consider these statements about the Ahom kingdom. So Ahoms founded this kingdom in Assam, and they were there till they ruled for many centuries, and they were there till the British arrived in India and they started controlling this area. By the 19th century, the British had established their control in the eastern part of the country. So with reference to the Ahom kingdom, consider the following statements. So statement number 1, the Ahoms formed a new state by replacing the old system of bhuyans by a feudal system known as pikes. The statement is saying that the Ahoms formed a new state in the eastern part of the country by replacing the old system of bhuyans. This is wrong. They did not replace the old system of bhuyans by a feudal system known as pikes. The system of bhuyans is the feudal system, and pikes were the forced labor. So you have been, the statement is trying to confuse you by calling pikes as a feudal system. Pikes were the people who were used in army and other areas, and they were used as forced labor. So this statement is factually wrong. Now the second statement, the Ahom king served as both the head of the state and the military. Is it correct? Yes, this is correct. The Ahom king, most of the times you will see in monarchies, this will be the thing. They were the head of the state and the military also. In some cases, the head of the military was commander-in-chief, Senapati, but overall head was generally the king. So this statement is correct. The Ahom navy was known as the Marang Gompa, which played a crucial role in riverine warfare. The Ahoms are known for using Brahmaputra and such rivers, and that navy was very good at riverine warfare, and it was also called Marang Gompa. So this is correct. So what will be the answer? How many of the statements given above are correct? Only 2. B should become the answer for question number 22. Now we go to the 23rd question, which is related to the modern Indian history. So the 23rd question, So there is given a paragraph and you have to take a look at this paragraph and answer a question on the basis of this paragraph. So the question is, which of the following movements is being described in the above paragraph? There are the names of the 4 movements mentioned over here. They were basically, you can say, anti-Brahminical or what you can say lower caste movements. So let us read the paragraph and figure it out. It aimed to address the socio-political concerns of non-Brahmin communities. So this movement about which the paragraph is talking was focusing on socio-political issues and they were related to non-Brahmin communities. Its primary aim was to secure jobs. That was the main goal, and representation of the non-Brahmins in the legislature. Legislature means law-making body. It was opposed to non-cooperation movement. It also opposed non-cooperation movement, which was led by Gandhiji, and Annie Besant's home rule movement, because it believed it would benefit the Brahmins. Why these movements, non-cooperation movement and home rule movement, were opposed by this a particular movement? Because they felt it will benefit the Brahmins. So now, which of the following movements being described in the above paragraph? कौन सा movement इसमें यहाँ describe किया गया? We have to find it out. So if we look at the options, Sri Narayan Guru Dharma Paripalan Yogam, it was in Kerala, and it did not as such focus on political aspects. Yes, it was directed against Brahminical orthodoxy, that is true. So this is not the right option. Now, Satya Shodhak Samaj. Satya Shodhak Samaj was also directed towards non-Brahmins and it was against Brahminical orthodoxy, but it also talked about social religious reforms, not about political aspects as such. So this is also not very suitable answer. Self-respect movement, started by E.V. Rama Naikar, gave the Dravidian theory and Aryan versus Dravidian divide was created by his theory. So he also was against Brahminical orthodoxy, but he was not also working on representation of non-Brahmins in the legislature. Later this will do, but the most appropriate answer which comes to my mind is justice movement. Justice movement is nothing but body was founded by 3 key personalities, Mudaliar, Madhavan Nair and Chettiar. They formed a body called South Indian Liberal Federation in 1916-17, and it published a paper called Justice as a voice of the non-Brahmin communities in Madras Presidency. And this particular paragraph or statement very well defines the activities of South Indian Liberal Federation. Because it published the newspaper Justice, it came to be known as Justice Party, and the movement came to be known as Justice Movement or Justice Party Movement. So D is the right answer. Now we go to the 24th question. So 24th question is a very simple straight question. This is from, you can say, early medieval India. In the context of ancient history, they are writing ancient Indian history, but the terms we see are more related to ancient and early medieval period. In the context of ancient history, the terms Ma, Kuli and Veli refer to what? So these terms are basically related to land, and these terms are related to the measurement of land. So they were used during the time of Cholas, especially imperial Cholas. The imperial Cholas were ruling in what you can say 10th, 11th centuries. They were at their peak. So the option directly would be various units of land measurement. What are the meanings of these particular terms and how they are related to each other is very well explained in the notes which we are going to give you. So next question is what we can say 25th question. Here again we have been given some statements and we have to see which of the statement given above are correct. So these the question says that consider the following statements regarding revolutionary organizations. So we have to consider the given statements in the context of revolutionary organizations. So revolutionary nationalism was one of the ideologies that parallelly ran was running with the ideology of the Congress, whether it was moderate, whether it was extremist ideology, later Gandhian ideology, and most of the young people were members or part of such organizations. So let us consider these statements in that context. The main impetus for the formation of the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, originally this was HRA, Hindustan Republican Association. Later the word socialist was added, and in this the important players were revolutionaries like Ram Prasad Bismil, Chandrasekhar Azad and Bhagat Singh, who led the foundation of this, and they set the goal of overthrowing British rule through armed rebellion. So the statement is saying the main impetus for the formation of the HSRA was Gandhi's decision to call off civil disobedience movement. So is this statement correct? No. HRA was formed in 1924. HSRA was formed. HSRA was existing in 1920s. To say that it was formed because Gandhi called off civil disobedience movement is not correct. Civil disobedience movement is existing from 1930 to 34. So the timeline is not matching of the two concepts or two objects, and therefore they are mismatched. This statement becomes wrong. Yes, HRA was formed, and the people who were given amnesty by the British rule after the First World War decided to give Gandhian ideology of non-violence a chance. But when Gandhi abruptly has withdrawn non-cooperation movement after the Chauri Chaura incident in 1922, they decided to part ways with Gandhian ideology forever, and revolutionary activities started on a bigger scale after that in an organized manner. And that was the emerging of the second phase of the revolutionary movement in India. So this statement is wrong. The anti-partition movement, means the movement that was against the partition of Bengal, led to the foundation of Jugantar organization in Bengal. See, when partition of Bengal took place and moderates failed to pressurize the British enough to withdraw the British decision to partition Bengal, then extremists took over. But even then, immediately no result was in sight. The partition of Bengal was not revoked by the British. Therefore, it created a lot of restlessness among the youth, who was a big participant in this anti-partition movement, or Swadeshi movement, under the extremist leadership. They decided to adopt the revolutionary ideologies, the war or because of the warlike tactics, using violence against the unpopular British officers, and pressurize them to revoke partition of Bengal. So in that process was formed Anushilon Samiti, having two branches, one in Western Bengal, another in Eastern Bengal, in Dhaka. And the people who were associated with Anushilon Samiti also led the foundation of an extremist or revolutionary organization called Jugantar. They published a paper to spread revolutionary ideas in Bengal and elsewhere by the same name. And Barendra Kumar Ghosh, the younger brother of Aurobindo Ghosh, was an important player in this. So this is correct. So what we will say? Statement 1 is wrong, statement 2 is correct, and therefore which of the statements given above is correct? We would say 2 only. B becomes the answer. Now we go to the next set of questions. So now let us come to the question number 81. So the question reads like this. Again, there are 3 statements. With reference to the Independence Pledge, the pledge that India will set independence as its goal. In that context, consider the following statements. So first statement is, Independence Pledge was adopted during the Karachi session of Congress, presided over by Sardar Patel, to announce January 26, 1930 as Independence Day. So see, Independence Pledge, a resolution regarding that, was passed not during the Karachi session, but much before that, during the Lahore session. So this is actually wrong. Here it should be Lahore. right? Lahore session, and that was presided over by Jawaharlal Nehru, not Sardar Patel. Sardar Patel presided the Karachi session only in 1931. And here, the Pune Swaraj Resolution was passed, and it was announced that the Congress Working Committee was authorized to ensure celebration of Independence Day on 26 January 1930. So this statement becomes wrong, factually. Now, second statement, the Independence Pledge was drafted by C. Rajagopalachari and was issued on behalf of the Working Committee for the adoption of public meetings all over India. So is it correct? No. The Independence Pledge, its content, its draft was prepared by Jawaharlal Nehru, the President of Lahore session of the Congress, and Mahatma Gandhi. So this also becomes wrong. C. Rajagopalachari is remembered for Rajagopalachari formula. Then third statement, 172 Indian members of the central and provincial legislatures, means the Indian members of Imperial Legislative Council and provincial legislatures, they resigned in support of the pledge. That is true. So this is a bit deeper question. You need to study well. So how many of the statements given above are correct? First two are wrong, third is correct. We can say only one. So answer is A. Now we go to the 82nd question. So what is the 82nd question is all about? So with reference to Ashoka's Dham, so we should be knowing what is Ashoka's Dham. Dhamma is a concept, it is a word used in Prakrit or Pali, which is the Prakrit version of what we call Sanskrit word dharma. So Ashoka was definitely inspired by Buddhism while he was transforming his policy, replacing Bheri Ghosh, the policy of conquest by war after Kalinga war. He had a lot of remorse after the bloodshed. He replaced the policy of Bheri Ghosh with policy of Dhamma Ghosh, matlab conquest by Dhamma, that is by winning hearts and establishing social harmony in his empire. So we have to consider these three statements in that context what Ashoka's Dham is. With reference to Ashoka's Dham, consider the following statements. So there are three statements. Statement one is, it was not a new religion but a form of political, it was not a new religion, that is true, but a form of political philosophy emphasizing peace, non-violence and social welfare. So this is also wrong. It was not a political philosophy. It was more of a social code of conduct where Ashoka is trying to establish peace, order and harmony in a diverse and vast empire through the principles of peace, non-violence and social welfare. So this statement is wrong because it was not a political philosophy. It was not a new religion also, that is also true. Okay. Second statement, Ashoka appointed Dhamma Mahamatras. Yes, he appointed a separate, special category of officials to spread his message of welfare, peace and harmony or his social code of conduct to create awareness among the people. Using Buddhist Sangha, he did not use Buddhist Sangha for that purpose, to propagate the teachings of Dhamma among the masses. So this, if Buddhist Sangha would not have been there, it could have been the true statement because Ashoka at any point of time did not try to spread Buddhism or use institutions of Buddhism to spread certain messages. He maintained an approach of equal respect for all religions and sects. So this is also wrong. Now third statement, Ashoka's Dhamma was based on the 10 principles embraced by Lord Buddha. This is true. The 10 principles include non-violence, peace, all these things. So we can say that third statement is correct. So how many of the statements given above are correct in question number 82? We can say only one. A becomes the answer. Right? Now we go to the 83rd question. 83rd question is related to what we can say modern India, especially Royal Indian Navy mutiny, RIN mutiny. So we have to consider these four statements and then find out how many of the above were the demands of Royal Indian Navy mutiny. Means the sailors or what you can say the Indians who served as ratings in British Indian Navy or Royal Indian Navy. So you have to tell which of these demands they were keeping before the British authorities when they revolted in 1946 February. Right. So let us see. Consider the following statements or these demands. Release of all political prisoners, including those from Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's Indian National Army. Did they demand release of all political prisoners? This is true. Did they ask the release of the INA soldiers and officials which were captured by the British after the failure of the Imphal campaign of the INA? This is also true. So the statement 1 is correct. This was one of the demands of the IRIN, Royal Indian Navy ratings or Indian sailors after the mutiny, right. So action against the commanders for ill treatment and using insulting language. This is also a demand. Why? They revolted because most of the senior positions or officers were Britishers and they mistreated the Indians who were serving as ratings and used abusive language. This is the reason, along with other mistreatments, that one of these ratings BC that scrawled "Quit India" over the walls of a ship INS Talwar which was anchored in Bombay. And from there the mutiny started, which was followed by mutiny in all the important stations or what you can say ships which were anchored in different ports. And this was pacified only after an appeal made by national level leaders like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Right. So this is also one of the demands of RIN mutiny. Now third demand, revision of pay and allowances to put Royal Indian Navy employees or ratings at par with their counterparts in the Royal Navy. Royal Navy means purely British Navy. Royal Indian Navy means the part of the British Navy that was located in India and had a majority of Indians at lower positions or as soldiers. So yes, pay and allowances was a matter of concern for the Indian soldiers or ratings serving in Royal Indian Navy because there was discrimination. The British officials and ratings were paid much higher than the Indian ratings, and this discrimination was not acceptable, and they demanded that they should getting pay at par and allowances at par with their British counterparts. So this demand was also there. Now the fourth one, release of Indian forces stationed in Indonesia and better treatment of subordinates by their officers. This was also one of the demands. So all these four demands were there made by during the mutiny of RIN in 1946. So the answer would be D. All four demands are correct, right? Now we go to question number 84. In the question number 84, there is given again a paragraph and you have to identify it is related to which of the dance forms mentioned over here. Which of the following dance forms is being described in the above paragraph. So here are four dance forms mentioned, all of them are classical dance forms. Kathakali, Kuchipudi, Bharatnatyam and Kathak. We have to identify this paragraph is most suitable for which of these dance forms. Let us read it out. So, this dance form is characterized by its intricate footwork. See, footwork is something which is visible in most of the what you can say dance forms. When it comes to classical dance, it is part of Kuchipudi also, Bharatnatyam also and Kathak also. So, things are not yet clear, we have to read the entire paragraph. Graceful movements are part of Kathak also and other classical dance forms also like Bharatnatyam. And subtle facial expressions. Facial expression is an important aspect of most of the classical dance forms, whether it is Kathakali, Bharatnatyam, Kuchipudi or Kathak. In Bharatnatyam you can see it clearly, Kathakali you can see and Kathak also. It incorporates both pure dance means nritya, where body moves but we are not taking much support of expressions as such. So, and expressive dance, nritya, means where you are using facial expressions. These are the elements of dance drama or classical dance forms. Elements as well as storytelling through dance natya. Here dance natya means a part of what you can say acting also, where you are enacting a particular character. So, Nitya, Natya, Nritya, it incorporates this, one of these dance forms for which this paragraph is devoted to, incorporates both pure dance and expressive dance elements as well as storytelling through dance. So, storytelling is a very important aspect. In all the dance dramas or classical dance forms, story is told in some form. So, this applies to all these dance forms. So, what will be the differentiating factor? Let us see. It was originally performed by a group of itinerant actors known as Bhagavatalu. Now, this is the differentiating term. Bhagavatalu, that is the bhaktas or worshippers of Bhagavat, Lord Vishnu or his incarnations. This term is used in South India in Andhra Pradesh. So, Andhra Pradesh, we have to identify which dance form is, which dance form, classical dance among these four belongs to Andhra Pradesh, that is Kuchipudi. Kuchipudi is the name of the village where this dance form was found and is performed. Bhagavatalu, who would travel from village to village, so they will be enacting different stories or themes from mythology, especially Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, performing plays and dances based on Hindu mythology. Right? So, this term is the differentiating term and it is related to Kuchipudi. So, we can say, and this movement from village to village used to take place in Kuchipudi only. This is not the case with Kathakali, Bharatnatyam or Kathak dance forms. They are all performed in on stage. Kathakali was originally performed in open stage, while Kuchipudi was performed in a stage or not on a stage. People are traveling from one place to another and they are enacting a particular story from Hindu mythology. So, Kuchipudi B is the right answer for question number 84. Now, let us go to the 85th question. This question is a bit tough kind of question because it is one of the rarest kind of things which have been asked over here. There are many commissions appointed during the British rule. So, one of the commissions is mentioned here. If you have read in depth somewhere, then you will be able to get the right answer. 85. Question number 85 says, in the context of British India, the Fowler Commission was appointed to, so what it is related to? See, the Fowler Commission was appointed in 1890s and what was its purpose? Its purpose was examine the currency situation in India. And it made certain recommendations, government accepted it and implemented that in 1899. This is what Fowler Commission is all about. So, with education system, you will see many commissions appointed during there, that time Sadler Commission, Raleigh Commission, those commissions. This is the right answer. It is a very straight question. More details you can get from the explanation part which you will be given to from the side of our institute, right. Now, question number 86. 3 statements are given and you have to consider these statements with reference to coins in ancient India. So, and you have to identify how many of these 3 statements are correct, right. So, let us see. First statement is, Saka kings introduced the custom of engraving portrait heads on the coins. See, during postmodern period, we see for the first time standardized coins coming into existence, on which we see the images of gods and goddesses on one side, that is reverse side, and on the obverse or front side, we see the image of the head of the king or the ruler, and we get a lot of information about these rulers of postmodern time. But the first was not the Sakas to do so. The first one was the Indo-Greeks who were ruling in northwest India. We get to know about Menander, one of the prominent kings among Indo-Greeks, from coins only. And Indo-Greeks issued large number of gold coins. So, it was not the Saka kings who introduced the custom of engraving portrait heads on the coins, it was the Indo-Greeks. So, this statement becomes wrong. Now, the second statement, the second statement is Sanskrit. Sanskrit is the language, Brahmi is the script. Sanskrit in Brahmi script was used as inscriptions on coins during the Gupta period for the first time. So, Sanskrit inscription we get for the first time classical Sanskrit from Shaka ruler Rudradaman I. His inscription is called Junagadh or Girinar inscription. But on the coins for the first time, Sanskrit is used as a language because it was adopted as a state language and it was a language of the elite sections during Gupta period. So this is true. Sanskrit in Brahmi script was used as an inscription for inscriptions on coins during Gupta period. So we find many coins, rather Guptas were the ones who issued large number of gold coins on the patterns of the Kushanas. They started their career as what you can say the feudal lords of Kushanas, and on these coins we see different kinds of scenes giving us a lot of information about different rulers of the Gupta dynasty. For example, on one coin it is written Kaviraj, which giving us an indication that Samudragupta was not only a great warrior but a poet also. He was not a great conqueror alone. He was also a good Veena player. We get to know about it from certain coins on which his image is engraved as he is playing Veena. Then Ashwamedh coins are there, issued by many of the Gupta rulers. So we get information from this, and these inscriptions on those coins are in Sanskrit. The script used is Brahmi. So this statement is correct. Now the third statement. The Satavahana kings mostly used silver as a material for their coins devoid of any beauty or aesthetic manner. This statement is fully correct except one word, that is silver. The Satavahanas issued coins in different metals, gold, silver, copper, but the maximum number of coins they issued were in either lead or an alloy called potin. Potin was having silver and some other metals in it. So silver as such is not the right word. So this statement becomes wrong. So how many of the statements given above are correct? We would say only one. The answer of question number 86 is what you can say A, right? Now we go to the next question, that is question number 87. So question number 87 is related to what we can say modern India, British India. So we have to consider the statements given over here and see how many of these statements given above are correct. Let us see. Statement 1. So before we read the statements, let us see what the question is demanding. With reference to the police system in British India, consider the following statements. So these statements are to be considered in the context of police system that was introduced during the British India. So statement 1. India developed a system of regular police much before Britain. Is it correct? Yes, this is true. During Mughal period only, even before that we see many terms used which are related to policing, and there are official names of officials mentioned over there. So there is what you can say Dandapal in ancient times word used. It is more like a policeman. During the time of Mughals, we hear the word Daroga, that also, or Kotwal, they are related to policing. So this statement is true that India developed a system of regular police much before Britain. Now the second statement, Lord Cornwallis modeled the police system in the Sindh province on the pattern of the Irish police organization. Irish police is known for its efficiency. The police in Sindh was inspired by the Irish police organization. That is true. But was it Lord Cornwallis who modeled it? No. Charles Napier was the person who was the commissioner or governor who governed the affairs of Sindh at one point of time. It was Charles Napier, not Lord Cornwallis, who was responsible for this. So this question factually becomes wrong. This statement, second statement is wrong. Now the third statement, Davies Commission recommended two branches for police services, which were imperial services, that is like today's IPS, and provincial, that is PCS. So at PCS level, the office, if you are elected, you are selected by a provincial commission, you join as what you can say, or you start your career as a CO circle officer or DSP, Deputy Superintendent of Police. While the most important first position in IPS is SP, right, Superintendent of Police. So Davies Commission recommended the two service branches for police services, which were imperial and provincial for recruitment in England and India respectively. The entire thing is correct except the name of the commission. The name of the commission was not Davis Commission. It was not Davis. The officer who headed this commission and made recommendations regarding police, creation of two branches was Fraser. So Fraser Commission was responsible for this, and it was appointed in 1902, 1903. So statement 3 also becomes factually wrong. So how many of the statements given above are correct? We would say only one. Answer becomes A for question number 87. Now we go to the next question, question number 88. So here what we have to see, there are 5 points given. The question is, so we have to consider them. How many of the above are the reasons for growth of trade unions in India after the First World War? So after the First World War, the trade unions grew in a very fast, many trade unions came up. What were the reasons? After World War I, we have to identify whether, what out of these 5, how many are the reasons, or all of them are the reasons. Let us see. Rising prices of essential commodities. See, essential commodities like food, grains, salt, such things, their prices increased. And that, what would it do? The income is not increasing, but prices are increasing. So our standard of living is compromised. So the workers will come together and they form trade unions to put forward their demands regarding wages, etc., or what you can say bonuses, before the promoters or owners of the mills and businesses, and the trade unions will be formed. So this is true. And Ahmedabad mill workers strike, which was finally taken care of by Gandhiji, is one of such examples. Now, there was also some kind of union formed. Decline in the real wages of workers, that's true, I already mentioned that. Increase in the demand for industrial products. So there was great increase in the demand for industrial products. When there was war, there was many manufactured items required like cloth, leather products, etc. for the army men, and there was demand. So industrial products are increasing, resulting in expansion of Indian industries. Indian industries are increasing, more workers are required, but they are not getting the kind of wages they want. So they will organize themselves, and that will help them in bargaining their interests or put forward their interests before the management and owners of the businesses. So this is also one of the causes for the growth of trade unions after the First World War in India. Now second, Gandhi's call for the non-cooperation movement. This also was to some extent a great reason, and many of the workers or trade unions tried to support the non-cooperation movement also, where Gandhi in his political program related to non-cooperation movement put forward certain demands which were related to the interests of the workers also. Now the Russian Revolution because it talked about the establishment of dictatorship of the proletariat or working class, it boosted the morale of the workers and contributed through the Communist Party and other such followers of ideologies to speed up or to increase the scale of trade union activities in India. So all these 5 are the reasons for the growth of trade unions in India. So answer would be all 5D for question number 88. Now we go to the next question, question number 89, the second last question in history and culture section. So there are 3 statements given, and we have to consider these statements and find out how many of them are correct. So first statement is, the Nij Abad and the Rayoti were the 2 main forms of indigo cultivation during colonial times practiced by cultivators. So is it correct? Yes, this statement is correct. Nij Abad means the land which was directly owned by the peasants, and they cultivated indigo on the insistence of the British planters supported by zamindars on one part of their land owned by them. That kind of indigo cultivation or the cultivators were called Nij Abad. Second is Rayoti. Rayoti was when a contract is established between the Rayat or farmer and the planter. That was called Rayoti. So this is true. These 2 main forms of indigo cultivation was prevalent during colonial times. This statement is correct. Now second statement, indigo planters persuaded peasants to plant indigo rather than food crops by offering loans known as dadon at low interest rates. So what is the catch? This is true that indigo planters used to force peasants to plant indigo and rather than food crops, so that their interests could be served. They offered loans or advances also. They were called dadun also, but not at low interest rate. They were offered at higher interest rates. So this statement becomes wrong. Now the third statement, all these statements are related to indigo cultivation only. The indigo revolt was a failure. Indigo revolt occurred in Bengal in Nadia district around 1859-60. Was a failure due to its violent nature. Did it fail? No, it did not fail. Was it violent in nature? No, it was relatively non-violent and peaceful or passive, and was suppressed by British rulers. The British rulers could not suppress it. Rather, because the demands of the indigo cultivators or grievances were genuine, the British authorities were compelled to appoint what you call an indigo commission in 1860. And on the basis of the recommendations of that commission, the Indigo Act was passed in 1862, relieving the indigo cultivators from different problems they faced at the hands of the European planters. So it was not a failure, nor it was violent in nature, nor it was suppressed by the British rulers. So third statement is also wrong. So what would be the answer to the question number 89? We will say, how many of these statements given are correct? Only one. Answer is A. Now we will go to the last question of history and culture section. Question number 90. So this is related to what you can say ancient Indian history, megalithic period. So when we say megalithic culture, we mean to say that culture that prevailed in certain parts of India, especially South India, East India and Deccan, where the main features which act as a hallmark of these cultures are big graves covered by stones. Mega means big, lith means stones, having different kind of designs. And here, at this point of time in South India, we see usage of iron to make different kind of tools. It is also the time around 1000 BC when in North India, the Aryans in later Vedic period are going to use iron. So let us see. With reference to megalithic period, we have to consider these following statements, 3 statements, and find out how many of these statements given above are correct. So let us see. See, first statement is the megalithic culture is characterized by either as burial sites, they were called megaliths, or as commemorative memorials. So this is true. Black and red ware. Pottery was, so black and red ware means that kind of pottery where the surface might be black and there are red lines over it, okay, or vice versa, otherwise. So black and red ware pottery was one of the characteristics of megalithic period. This is true. Lot of evidence of pottery has been found from megalithic sites, and we have obtained this remains of black and red ware pottery. So this is also correct, right? Now the third statement. The megalithic period is characterized by the nomadic pastoralists. See, the Aryans were nomads and pastoralists in Rigvedic period. They started settling in North India during later Vedic period with bone and iron tools. The megalithic period is characterized by the nomadic pastoralists with bone and iron tools. So rest of the things are correct, but megalithic people were not living a life of nomadic pastoralists. They domesticated animals, they engaged in hunting, fishing, but main occupation was agriculture. So they settled down. They were not nomadic pastoralists. They were settled. They were living a sedentary life using iron objects or tools for agriculture and other purposes. So this statement is wrong. So the answer would be, how many of the statements given above are correct? We would say only 2. B is the answer of question number 90. With this, we will wind up the discussion for the history and culture section. Thank you.
All right, students. So I am going to take the discussion of the science and technology section. There were 10 questions in science and technology in this paper. So question number 31 to 40 are from science and technology area. My name is Zahidul and I am a faculty of science and technology. So let us quickly discuss the first question from the science and technology section. It says, with reference to 4D printing technology, the fourth dimension refers to, okay. So far we have heard about 3D printing, but what is 4D printing? Basically in 4D printing, the fourth dimension is the dimension of time. And how it is different from 3D printing technology? Generally what happens when we talk about 3D printing technology, they use a static material, they use the printer, and using that printer they create a 3D object, that is known as 3D printing. But in case of 4D printing, what happens? The printing happens in the similar fashion as in 3D printing. Okay, so they take a dynamic material instead of a static material. They use a 3D printer. Okay, they use a printer and then they print it. Okay, an object is created. However, they also introduce another element over here, and that element is they introduce, let's say, like water or light or some type of other material. And even after, let's say, printing or even after making this 3D object, over a period of time, this object has the ability to change its shape. Okay, this 3D printed object will have the ability to change its shape over a period of time. That is known as 4D printing. So in 4D printing, we have the 3 dimensions, and the fourth dimension is time, because like they introduce dynamic material over here, and this dynamic material is able to change its shape over a period of time. Okay, that's why it is known as 4D printing. So correct answer is option C in this case. Now with this, let us now talk about another topic, question number 32. So it says, which of the following capabilities of artificial intelligence was demonstrated under the project Q star that was in the news recently? Okay, so here we are talking about a project. What is the name of the project? It is known as project Q star. So what is the role of this project? The project Q star is able to solve elementary mathematics. Okay, and how it is able to solve? Basically this project Q star works on an algorithm. What? It works on an algorithm, and this algorithm is able to solve, let's say, basic mathematics related questions. If you put any question over here, it's going to solve, it's going to give you the correct answer. And it is also able to solve those questions for which it has not been trained using data. Okay, so people are predicting that this could be a beginning of general artificial intelligence. What do we mean by general artificial intelligence? The general artificial intelligence is that level of artificial intelligence development where the artificial intelligence, its, let's say, computing capacity or its thinking capacity, its intelligence is going to surpass the human intelligence. Okay, that is known as general artificial intelligence. However, as of now, general AI or general artificial intelligence has not been built. Okay, it has not been built yet. But the thing is, like, you know, it is being predicted, but in near future, maybe down the line 20 years, 30 years from now, we can see the emergence of general artificial intelligence. Okay, so general artificial intelligence is going to be important, and that's why people are praising this particular project, which is project Q star, for its ability to solve basic elementary mathematics. However, people are also criticizing this this project. Why? They are saying that it is going to, let's say, like, you know, it is going to bypass the human intelligence, human capacity, and it is going to have negative effect for the human intelligence at large. Okay, so the thing is, what will be the correct answer for this? Correct answer is option C, solving elementary mathematics problem without the use of training data set. Okay, without the use of training data set. And this project Q star has been built by a company. Name of this company is OpenAI. OpenAI is that company which has also built ChatGPT. Okay, you might be knowing about this, which is a generative artificial intelligence. Okay, so with this, let us quickly move to the next question. So we are moving to question number 33. Let's read about this question. What it says? It says, consider the following statements. They have given 2 statements to us. What we need to do, we need to check whether first statement is correct or not. We need to check whether second statement is correct or not. Then we need to check whether second statement is correct explanation of the first statement. Okay, so in this fashion we need to solve this question. So let us read these statements. Number 1, it says, the Foucault's pendulum is seen to change its orientation slowly over time. this statement is right. I am going to help you understand what do we mean by Foucault's pendulum. Okay. So, second statement, it says Coriolis force. All of you might be knowing about Coriolis force because you might have read about it in geography, in science and technology, but I am going to help you understand about this also. It says Coriolis force acting on the heavy bob changes the direction of the movement. So, this statement is wrong. Okay. So, correct answer would be option C. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Let me make you understand about this Foucault pendulum. Okay. So, to understand about Foucault pendulum, what you need to do, you need to understand, let's consider we have a ceiling. Okay. We have a wall ceiling. On this ceiling, there is a thread. Okay. There is a thread, or let me make the thread to be like this. And just below this thread, we have something like this, okay, a ball-like structure. So this arrangement is known as a pendulum. Okay, this arrangement is known as a pendulum. When we talk about Foucault's pendulum, what? When we talk about Foucault's pendulum, what happens in this pendulum? Basically, Foucault's pendulum is a special case of a general pendulum. In the Foucault pendulum, let's say this is just a thread or a rope, very thin, and this is known as bob. This particular object, this is known as bob. This is known as a thread, okay, or a rope, whatever you consider, very thin, okay, so that it has negligible impact on it. This bob is big in size, very big and very heavy. Okay, generally in Foucault's pendulum, the size of this bob will be very, very big, like this. Okay, let's say now this is the bob. Okay, this is the bob. So what happens in this pendulum? Basically, let's say if you bring this pendulum to one of the side and then you leave it, so this pendulum is going to go there, going to come here, going to go there, going to come here. But the thing is, it's not only going to, let's say, make its movement along just one plane. This is known as vertical plane. I mean, a plane consists of two dimensions. Okay, let's say this is x-axis, this is y-axis. So if this pendulum is moving, so this will be moving here and here, means it will be having up and down motion, it will be having to and fro motion, this direction and this direction also when it is moving. But the thing is, this Foucault pendulum has a special characteristic, a special property, and this particular pendulum is able to move in, let's say, other vertical planes also. Like this, it will be able to move in this plane, it will be able to move in this plane, it will be able to move, let's say, slight little bit tilted way also. So basically, if you pull this pendulum over here, if you leave it, it's not going to keep on rotating in the same plane, it's going to change its direction also, okay, slowly over a time period. Okay, and because of this pendulum, we have been able to understand that the earth is rotating. What? Earth is rotating. So if we talk about earth, let's say this is earth, let me draw earth. If we talk about earth, right, so there is an axis along which the earth is, let's say, rotating. Earth is rotating. Since earth is rotating, what happens? This pendulum is on a rotating earth. Okay, so that's why it changes its direction. And Foucault has told the world that the earth is rotating. Because of this experiment, the physicists have understood that the earth is rotating. So that's why Foucault pendulum is very, very important for us. Apart from this, here they have also talked about Coriolis force. Here we need to understand what are the forces that are in play. Okay, what are the forces that are at play at this particular, let's say, at this particular arrangement. Number one is gravitational force. Okay, Number one is gravitational force. And number second force, which is playing role over here, this can be known as angular momentum. Okay, angular momentum. I mean, like angular momentum and gravitational force, they are together playing the role, and because of which the Foucault pendulum shifts its direction over a period of time. Okay, it changes its direction over a period of time because of this particular factor. Okay, but here they have talked about Coriolis force. Okay, what they have discussed about? They have talked about Coriolis force. To understand about Coriolis force, you need to understand about, let's say this is the earth. Earth is a very big object. So if anything is moving from here to here, let's say, okay, initially something has started from here, let's say, like, at time t1, it wants to reach at time t2 over here, but since earth is rotating, what earth is doing? Earth is rotating. So instead of reaching this place, this particular object, over a period of time, it will reach to this particular place, let's say P2 instead of P1, because initially when it set for this direction, when it started from here, it wanted to reach over here, so it went in the straight direction, but earth is rotating, and because of this, earth moves there and, like, it comes over here. So that is known as Coriolis force. So Coriolis force comes into play. It acts whenever an object travels a very far distance. Okay, but over here this pendulum is not moving any distance. It is at the same place. It is just suspended over a wall. Let's say, like, it is suspended here on this wall. From here it is, let's say, like, making movement. So it will change its direction also, but, like, it is not traveling any, let's say, distance from one place to another place, let's say, to traverse the earth, means like this is the center of the earth. From here, means like on the surface of the earth, it is moving to one of the sides of the earth. I mean, like, one of the, it is moving to a distance which is significant enough comparable to the radius of the earth, like that. So there Coriolis force comes into play, but not here. Okay, this is the thing. So I hope you understood this question. Okay, if you have any question, you can write down in the, let's say, like, comment section, and I'm going to explain you again. Okay, so with this, now let us move to another question. Question number 34. So it says, with reference to quantum dots, consider the following statements. Now let us understand what are quantum dots. Quantum dots are nano size. Okay, so they are, number one, they are nanomaterial. Okay, they are nanomaterials, and they are what? They are nanomaterial semiconductors. Okay, quantum dots are nanomaterial semiconductor, means they are semiconductors, but at nano level, very small size of the range of 1 to 100 nanometer. Okay, they are known as quantum dots. So they say they are semiconductor particles with optoelectronic properties. This statement is right. Second statement, infrared light is used to excite electrons to higher energy levels. This statement is wrong, because instead of infrared light, we use UV radiation. What? We use ultraviolet radiation or ultraviolet lights. Second statement is wrong. Third, the color characteristics of emitted light depend on the size of the quantum dot. This is also right. In fact, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2023 was awarded for quantum dot, right? It was awarded for quantum dot because they have showcased a property. This is known as tunable emission. What? Tunable emission means if we change the size of the quantum dots, it is going to, let's say, emit light of different color. That is known as tunable emission. So this entire sentence is about tunable emission. If we change the size of quantum dots, the color of light which is going to be emitted will be different, and that's why it will be, let's say, applicable in all the different types of displays, like mobile phones, or let's say LED lights, etc. So how many of the above statements are correct? Only 2. All right. So with this, now let us move to next question. Question number 35. Here they have mentioned about Project Tara. Project Tara, recently seen in the news, is related to which one of the following? Basically, Project Tara is free space optical communication. Okay. So Project Tara is free space optical communication. Okay. FSOC. And this Project Tara is also known as Moonshot Factory. What is the name of this factory? It is also known as Moonshot Factory. So there is a company, its name is Alphabet. So Alphabet has a lab which is known as X. So they have started working on this project, Project Tara. Using this Project Tara, what they are going to do, they are going to beam, let's say, like, they are going to beam internet from the space to the earth. People will be able to access internet directly from the space to the earth. As of now, we have Wi-Fi connections in our home. So that comes through optical, let's say optical fiber network. But that is going to be directly beamed from the space to the earth. Okay. So this is little different. Okay. And Airtel as a company, this company has started working on this particular project. So it means beaming internet to earth using radio communication technology through a constellation of numerous small satellites in the low earth orbit. Okay. Sorry. Here it will not be using radio communication technology, that's wrong. Okay. Use of wireless optical communication technology to beam internet on the earth. Okay. Wireless communication technology, not the radio optical communication. Okay. So correct answer is option A, use of wireless optical communication technology to beam internet on the earth. That's the right answer. So with this, now let us move to another question, question number 36. Quickly, it says, with reference to green ammonia, there is a chemical formula which is known as NH3. When we talk about green NH3, it means this NH3 has been produced using green methods, using methods that do not emit carbon. Okay, using method that do not emit carbon at all. So when we talk about this green ammonia is a very, very important technology. Green ammonia can be used as a fuel also in the transportation sector, in the maritime transport sector. So it says it is produced by the methane reforming process. This information is wrong. Okay. What is methane? Methane is generally CH4. CH4 is methane. Okay. So it is not produced using methane reforming process. There is a different thing. The production of green ammonia requires green hydrogen and atmospheric nitrogen. Okay. To produce green ammonia, green hydrogen must first be obtained through the process of water electrolysis, and after this water electrolysis, that is, water is decomposed into hydrogen and oxygen, and then we produce green ammonia. Means like in the production of green ammonia, we do not emit carbon dioxide. Okay, we do not emit carbon dioxide. Means it does not add to the global warming. It does not, let's say, lead to greenhouse effect. That's why it is known as green ammonia. Okay, first statement is wrong. And this green ammonia can be potentially used in decarbonizing the maritime transport sector, because it can be used as fuel. Okay, it can be used as fuel in maritime transport sector. Third, it can be liquefied at room temperature, which improves energy efficiency. Okay, so when we talk about green ammonia, right, so it cannot be, right, liquefied at room temperature. Okay. So how many of the above statements are right? Only one, which is second statement is right. First and third are wrong. Okay. So with this, now let us move to another question. Consider the following statements. They have given, let's say, fructose, sucralose. Fructose, we know it is a natural sugar. It is a natural sugar. sucralose, ace sulfame, potassium, monosodium glutamate. So it is a kind of salt, monosodium glutamate, MSG, you might have heard about it. Let's say people who are making chow mein, right? So they add MSG, etc. Aspartame, okay? So how many of the above are considered artificial sweeteners? Okay, artificial sweeteners. Fructose is a natural sweet, natural sugar. So it is not a artificial sweetener. This is an artificial sweetener, that is an artificial sweetener, and this is an option 2, 3 and 4, 5. Sucralose, ace sulfame, potassium and aspartame. They are part of artificial sweeteners. So only 3 of the above are correct. Correct answer is option B. Okay, artificial sweetener. Apart from this, there are some other artificial sweetener also, like sacharins, there's saccharin, sodium, aspartame, ace sulfame, potassium, sucralose, neotame and maltulose. Okay, so they are artificial sweeteners, not these ones. Okay, correct answer is option B, only 3 of them. Now let us move to question number 38. Okay, which one of the following is correct regarding the objective of blue button movement? Blue button movement. So if I'm a healthy person mentally and all, so I'll be able to, let's say, like, unbutton my shirt, I'll be able to button my shirt. It also talks about like whether I have, let's say, brain and body coordination and all. So basically when we talk about this particular blue button initiative, it is a kind of initiative where they are supporting for those who are suffering from dementia. What do we mean by dementia? It is a mental issue. Mental issue means where people tend to forget the things over a period of time. So when you age, right, after a certain period of age, let's say after 65 years of age, people generally start developing dementia. And because of dementia, people tend to lose information, people tend to forget the information. So basically recently there were 2 organizations, one of them is Dementia India Alliance, okay, which is known as DIA, Dementia India Alliance, which is a non-profit organization, okay, and Sneha Sandhya Age Care Foundation. So they have organized Blue Button movement, and this Blue Button movement was organized, let's say, like on the day of World Alzheimer's Day on 21st of September 2023 in Visakhapatnam. So basically they want to raise awareness about dementia among people. They want to support those people who are facing the issue of dementia. So this is the thing. Correct answer is option A. Okay. Question number 38. Now let us move to another question. Question number 39. In August 2023, the laser induced breakdown spectroscopy instrument. So here they have written name of an instrument, laser induced breakdown spectroscopy instrument on board Chandrayaan 3's rover Pragyan revealed the presence of sulfur on the moon's surface. Okay, so there was an instrument, this is the name of the instrument, laser induced breakdown spectroscopy. This instrument was put on board the Chandrayaan 3. We know Chandrayaan 3 was a moon mission, right? India's moon mission. In this mission, we have sent a spacecraft on the moon, and we have made that spacecraft to land on the south pole of the moon. And then, we had a rover also. Okay, so that rover roved on the surface of the moon. It has collected samples. It has collected, let's say, chemical. It has done chemical analysis. So one of the instrument, this instrument has collected the information that there is presence of sulfur on the surface of the moon. So now they are saying, with reference to this discovery, consider the following statements. They have given 3 statements. Okay, it confirms the fact that the moon is a volcanically active celestial body, because from volcanoes comes lava and also comes sulfur dioxide or sulfur, right? So it confirms that moon is a volcanically active celestial body. This statement is right. It could be an indication that there is water ice on the lunar surface. It is possible that this sulfur, in the early time, maybe volcanic eruption has happened and this water ice, let's say like, confined the sulfur beneath it. So it is possible. So it is saying it could be an indication that there is water ice on the lunar surface. This statement is also right. Third, it confirms that moon quakes are a common occurrence due to collision of plates. However, as of now, let's say like we have not been able to identify plate tectonics on the surface of the moon. I mean like on the surface of the earth, plate tectonic theory is widely acknowledged, because like we have let's say like major plates, minor plates, and these plates are moving relative to one another. Some plates are convergent planes, some plates are divergent planes, some plates are, let's say like, transform planes that are moving past slide one another. So third statement is wrong. Fourth, it proves the fact that moon was once a habitable celestial body. Okay, so this also does not prove that it was a habitable celestial body. So both these statements, third and fourth, are incorrect. First and second are correct. So how many of the above statements are correct? Only two. Okay, only two. Now let us move to question number 40. This is the last question on science and technology. Consider the following statements. Both magnetar as well as pulsar are types of neutron stars. Okay, magnetar and pulsar are type of neutron stars. So basically, when big stars, right, they collapse under the gravity of their own, so they become magnetar and pulsar. So like, they are magnetar and pulsar. So pulsar and magnetar both are type of neutron stars, which are basically cores of giant stars left over when the stars themselves explode in events called supernova. A magnetar rotates faster than a pulsar. Okay, this statement is wrong. Basically, magnetar is much bigger as compared to pulsar. They have more magnetic field, so they rotate slower as compared to pulsars. Okay, this is the thing. So first is right, second is wrong. So correct answer is option A. Which of the statements given above are correct? Only one. Statement 1 is correct. Okay. UPSC has also asked a question on magnetar, pulsar, etc. right, in the past. So that's the thing. So the next section of the discussion will be on current affairs, which I am going to take shortly. Alright, so let us discuss about the current affairs question in Panchsutra Test-3. So basically there were around 15 questions. Question number 26 to 30 were from current affairs, and also 91 to 100 are from current affairs. So we are going to discuss each of these questions one by one. So this first question is about sikki grass. Okay, it says in the context of sikki grass, consider the following statements. So basically they have given 3 statements and we need to identify which of these statements are correct. If I talk about sikki grass, these are the grasses that are, let's say like, that grow in the Tarai region of Uttar Pradesh, right? Tarai region of Uttar Pradesh and also of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar basically. So these grasses grow over there. They have a golden luster, means like, they look like golden color grass because of their yellowish color. So 3 statements are given. Number 1, it is known as golden grass due to its golden luster on drying. This statement is right. It says it is mainly grown in the western Ghats of India. This statement is wrong because it is grown in the Tarai region. Okay, Tarai region of UP and Bihar, mainly Tarai region of UP and Bihar. Third statement, it is used in making handicrafts. Okay, this statement is also right. So only 2 of the above statements are right. Basically, like, people from UP and Bihar, they have been demanding from the government that, like, the handicrafts that are made using Tarai grass, they should be, I mean, like, they should be allowed to be displayed in all the different kind of fairs, trade fairs that are organized across India. Okay, so however, let's say like, it has not made much progress, and that's why Tarai grasses, sikki grasses were in news. Okay, so correct answer is option B. Only statement 1 and 3 are correct. Now let us move to next question. Okay, so this particular question, it says, in which one of the following groups are all the 5 countries members of BRICS? As we all know, BRICS is a regional grouping. As of now it has 10 members, but initially when BRIC was established, so it was established in the year of 2006. It had 4 member BRIC, okay, Brazil, Russia, India and China. Later on, South Africa, okay, South Africa joined this particular grouping in 2010. So in in 2010 there were 5 members, but recently in 2023 5 new members were added, okay, 5 new members joined the BRICS grouping. So effectively it has 10 members, and which are those members, which are those 5 members? Basically the five new members also include Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. Apart from this, Brazil and China are, let's say, existing members, already, let's say, like existing members. The 5 new members that have joined the BRICS, they are Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. Okay, so these are the countries that have joined. Apart from this, they have also extended the invitation to Argentina as well. But Argentina did not join the BRICS grouping. So effectively now there are 10 member countries. Correct answer would be option C in this case. So with this, now let us move to another topic. This is question number 28. It says, recently seen in news, AlphaFold is related to. When we talk about AlphaFold, it is the artificial intelligence system. So this artificial system, intelligence system uses deep learning, and this artificial intelligence system basically, let's say, is able to, let's say, identify the structure of proteins. So if you give, let's say, some formula of proteins, it will be able to identify the structure of the protein, okay. So it is an AI tool developed to predict the structures of proteins. So correct answer is option B. If I talk about AlphaFold, AlphaFold is the tool, and this tool is developed by one of the company which is part of, let's say, Alphabet Inc., which is parent company of, let's say, Google, okay. So parent company of Google, and so basically it is developed by DeepMind, and DeepMind works under, let's say, Alphabet Inc., which is parent company of Google also. And AlphaFold is an AI system which is able to predict the structures of proteins, okay. So this is the thing, and that's why it was in news, okay. Correct answer is option B in this case. Now with this, let us move to another question. This is question number 29. We are going to discuss this question. It says, with reference to Prithvi program, consider the following statements. So when I talk about Prithvi program, it is a program under the Ministry of Earth Sciences, and under this program basically the Ministry of Earth Sciences wants to integrate, let's say, like 5 existing schemes, and they want to study the, let's say, various systems of the earth, right. 5 different systems of the earth they want to study, okay. So the first statement is wrong. It says it aims to contribute towards regeneration of degraded forest and their adjoining areas in the country. It's not only about forest, it's about earth system in the soil, water, all other let's say parts of the earth. They want to study it holistically. For this, they have clubbed together 5 different schemes of the government, and it comes under Ministry of Earth Sciences, okay, Ministry of Earth Sciences, not under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So both these statements are wrong. Correct answer is option D, okay. Option D is the right answer related to Prithvi program. So with this, now let us move to another question. Question number 30. It says, which one of the following statements best describe the objective of the project Bhishma? Okay, here we are talking about a project. It is known as project Bhishma, okay. So related to project Bhishma, basically they have given some statements, and if I talk about this project Bhishma, right, it is aimed at providing portable hospital care in the most challenging circumstances like natural disasters. Basically this project Bhishma is a portable hospital, a hospital that can be moved. Let's say ambulance, we know ambulance can be moved. Similarly, it is a portable hospital. So when the consecration of that temple was happening, Ram temple, their project Bhishma, I mean, like under this project, they have also installed hospital facilities, portable hospital facilities, so that if any urgency arises, any health emergency arises to some of the members who have visited, because during the consecration ceremony, huge number of VVIPs have visited there. Okay, so that's why this hospital facility was enabled over there, and this hospital facility is going to provide care to people, let's say in remote areas also where hospital infrastructure is not available. And so during natural disasters also this structure can be replicated. Okay, this is the thing. So with this, now let us move to next question. This question number 91, it says, which one of the following about the Aadhaar cards in India is correct? Very simple question from Aadhaar cards. This year in 2024 and also in 2023, Aadhaar cards were in news. And nowadays, if you print Aadhaar card, right, there will be a prominent display that Aadhaar card is a proof of identity. It is not a proof of citizenship, and it is not a proof of date of birth also. Okay, why it is the case? Because there have been some misunderstanding among different departments, and it has led to ambiguity. Some departments used to consider it as a proof of citizenship also, or proof of birth as well, but Government of India has clarified this particular thing is a proof of identity. It is not a proof of citizenship, and it is not a proof of date of birth. Correct answer is option A in this case. Okay, option A is the right answer. So with this, now let us move to the next question. All right, this particular question, this question is related to setting up of small finance banks in India. As we know that the banking sector in India is regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, Reserve Bank of India is considered to be the banker of the bank also, and it is the regulator of the banking sector in India. Whether it is a government bank or a private sector bank, they are known as scheduled commercial banks or non-banking financial company, and even small finance banks. All of these banks are regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. So here this question is related to small finance banks. It says, with reference to small finance banks in India, consider the following conditions. They have given 3 conditions. Number 1, they must have a minimum paid up equity capital of 100 crore rupees. This statement is right. Second statement, they need to have at least 25% of their branches in the unbanked rural areas. This statement is also right. And the third statement, they must be registered as a public limited company under the Companies Act 2013. This statement is also right. So all the 3 statements are right. Okay, so how many of the above mentioned conditions are correct for setting up of small finance banks? All the 3 conditions are right. Apart from this, there is another condition. This small finance bank, they must have been in business, they must have been operating for at least last 5 years. Only then, let's say, like, they can get the license of a small finance bank. Okay, so they are the conditions or eligibility criteria for a bank to be classified as a small finance bank. Recently, the Reserve Bank of India has, let's say, like, declined the proposal from West End, let's say, like, West End bank, like West End Housing Finance. So basically they have applied for getting small finance bank tag or category, but like the Reserve Bank of India has declined, citing that they have not met, let's say, some of the criteria or some of these conditions. Okay, so this is the thing. So with this, now let us move to next question. Question number 93. The carbon harvesting model, CHARM, recently seen in the news, is an initiative of, it is an initiative of World Resources Institute. Okay, when I talk about World Resources Institute, this is an institute which is let's say based in United States of America. This is based in, let's say, like this is based in Washington DC of USA. This World Resources Institute has set up a carbon harvesting model, and name of this carbon harvesting model is CHARM, and this CHARM is a very important initiative, okay, of the World Resources Institute. So like it is a new global forest carbon model, and CHARM to study the effects of deforestation on the concentration of carbon dioxide gas in the atmosphere. So in the atmosphere, let's say the concentration of carbon dioxide is continuously increasing. Why it is continuously increasing? Because we are emitting greenhouse gas regularly, we are emitting carbon dioxide regularly. So that's why the concentration of carbon dioxide is increasing in the, let's say, atmosphere. And So World Resources Institute is studying about it. It is also taking initiative to decarbonize, to reduce the concentration of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So that's why correct answer is option A. Okay, you need to read about this, let's say, topic as well in your free time. Now let us move to another question. This question is about a convention, and this convention is known as Chemical Weapons Convention, CWC. So Chemical Weapons Convention is a convention which prohibits the production, storage, stockpile and let's say transport of chemical weapons from across the world. This is a convention that is made mandatory for every country in the world, means none of the country in the world can store chemical weapons. None of the country in the world can make chemical weapons. None of the country is allowed to transport chemical weapons, and all the countries that are signatory to it, they are responsible to make it sure that they, let's say, they remove or they destroy any chemical weapon if it is there in their territory. And also they are responsible for, let's say, taking a watch on other countries as well. If they feel that other countries are possessing chemical weapons, they can report it to this institute, and that institute can do surprise inspection also. And on these surprise inspections, those countries do not have a right to say no. They will have to allow, let's say, surprise inspection to happen to make it sure that they do not possess chemical weapons. So 3 statements are given. We are going to read these statements and we are going to solve, let's say, which of these statements are right or wrong. Number 1, it is an arms control treaty administered by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Although this is an arms control treaty, because arms, chemical weapon is a kind of arm, it does not discriminate between persons. I mean, like anyone who comes in contact with it, they are let's say gone, they will be killed. But this is not administered by International Atomic Energy Agency. This is administered by OPCW. What is OPCW? Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. This is the organization that administers the Chemical Weapons Convention. Second statement, India is a signatory and party to the Chemical Weapons Convention. This statement is right. Third, the convention's challenge inspection procedure underlines the principle of anytime, anywhere inspections with no right of refusal by the member states. This statement is also right. So how many of the above statements are correct? Only 2, second and third. First statement is wrong. Okay. So with this, let us quickly move to another question. Okay, question number 95. So it says this festival is celebrated in the state of Tripura. Here they have given description about a festival and initiated by Tripura Raja at Royal Ujjayanta Palace of Tripura. During this festival, a particular area is demarcated and bounded by a large piece of green bamboo. Sacrifices are made to please gods for the welfare of the villages so that they can save them from calamities, epidemics and external aggression. This is a description of the festival, means some kind of a scapegoat is used. Means if natural calamity is happening, people believe that it is because of the wrath of the god, and if we do sacrifice, the god will be happy and they are not going to bring any kind of natural calamity to us. So this is the thing, and name of this puja is known as Ker Puja. Recently the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, he has wished the people of Odisha or people of Tripura basically regarding this festival. Okay, that's why it was in news. It is known as Ker Puja, K-E-R, Ker Puja. Now let us discuss about another question. This is known as Sagar Sampark. Okay, Sagar Sampark, recently seen in the news, is related to, it is a differential global navigation satellite system. Sagar Sampark. Basically, we know what is GPS system. GPS is global positioning system. Using that, we can locate far away places, we can find out the best routes for it, like on road transport. At the same time, it is also used for maritime transport also. But this differential global navigation satellite system, this is an add-on to the GPS system, global positioning system, and this is going to reduce the errors into the GPS system. It is going to make the navigation more correct, and this is an indigenously built system in India. Okay, so there is a ministry related to lighthouses and all. That ministry is going to utilize this. They have already set up 6 systems under this differential global navigation satellite system. It is known as Sagar Sampark. Correct answer is option B. So with this, let us now move to next question. This question is related to bacteriophages. Bacteriophage means eating bacteria, or bacteria eating means removing the bacteria. Okay, bacteriophages have been found to have numerous applications in medical biotechnology. What are bacteriophages? Here they have asked what are bacteriophages. You need to understand what is there. Okay, so they are viruses which parasitizes the bacterium by infecting it and reproducing inside it. Correct answer is option C. Okay, option C is the right answer in this case. So with this, now let us move to another question, question number 98. We'll be quick in covering this question. It says, consider the following statements. They have given 2 statements. We need to identify which statements are correct, which statements are wrong. First statement, which says zombie fires are increasing dramatically with the Arctic amplification. Okay, what do we mean by Arctic amplification? Arctic amplification means that the average global warming that is happening around the world, whatever is the level, at the Arctic Ocean, here the global warming is 6 times of the normal average global warming. Means like here, let's say the Arctic region is warming 6 times faster. That is known as Arctic amplification, and because of Arctic amplification, zombie fires are increasing. What are zombie fires? These are the fires that are there on forest, right? And these fires keep on lingering for months. I mean, like for months the forest keep on burning. That is known as zombie fire. Second, lightning and thunderstorms are frequently observed in high latitudes. Okay, so the lightning and thunder are not frequent in high latitudes. What are latitudes? Basically, if I talk about, this is Earth, right? These lines, okay, that I am drawing, that are parallel to the equator, they are known as latitudinal line. Okay, latitudes, they are parallels of equator, right? So in the higher latitudes, means like, you know, near the North Pole and South Pole, so these thunderstorms are not very frequent, they are infrequent over there. So second statement is wrong. So first statement is correct, but second statement is incorrect. Correct answer is option C. Okay, now with this, let us move to another question, question number 99. We are going to move to this question. It says, consider the following statements. They have given 3 statements. In fact, these are related to Article 21 of the Constitution of India, right to life and let's say liberty or privacy. So it says, right to privacy under Article 21 is also applicable to prisoners and convicts. So anyone who is in jail, he also have right to life. Okay, he also enjoys the right to life and privacy, similar to normal citizens who are outside jail, who are walking free like us. Second, right to healthy environment is construed as part of right to life under Article 21. This statement is also right. Third statement is wrong. It says CCTV cameras are not allowed in the prisons to maintain privacy of inmates. It is allowed in the prisons. Okay, even Supreme Court of India and various courts have been time and again talking about this, that we need to install CCTV cameras in all jails in the country. It helps the prison officials to maintain, let's say, like, you know, a record, like which prisoner is going where. And if in case prisoners escape from the jail, so they will be able to identify this. And if unforeseen incidents happen inside the jail leading to killing of inmates of the prison, that will also be tracked using the CCTV cameras. So that's why third statement is wrong, first and second statements are right. So only 2 statements are correct. Okay. So with this, now let us move to the next question, which is question number 100. This is going to be the last question for us. It says, consider the following statements. They have given 2 statements. Number 1, India imports sweet crude oil from Arabian countries like Oman and UAE, right? Second statement, sweet crude oil contains low sulfur content and easy to process, right? First statement is wrong, second statement is right. What do we mean by sweet and sour crude oil? Basically, sweet crude oil is a crude oil that has low sulfur content. What? It has low sulfur content, sweet crude oil. When I talk about sour crude oil, they have high sulfur content. So basically, sour crude oil is, let's say, like, imported from Oman. From these countries, we are importing sour crude oil. Sweet crude oil is imported from Russia and India. Okay, second statement is right. Sweet crude oil contains low sulfur content and is easy to process. Okay, this is the thing. Correct answer is statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. Okay, option D is the right answer. So that's all. With this, we have discussed all the current affair based questions also. Thank you so much for attending this discussion. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.
So hello, good evening to the Panchsutra 3 discussion of the economy section. So in this particular paper, we had seen that it was a mix of factual question, trend based question. So some of the questions were based on certain data, like in the last 5 years, which particular entity has crossed this much, this, that. So this was the idea that we need to also ask questions like trends, as in how the economy is progressing vis-a-vis the last 5 years or 10 years. So the questions were related with that also. So quickly we'll see the questions which have been asked in this particular test. So the first question is, consider the following. First we'll see the command. How many of the above are components of reserve money? So what is this reserve money? So reserve money is also known as high powered money. It is nothing but the total liability, or whatever is the liability which is getting reflected on the balance sheet of Reserve Bank of India is considered as part of reserve money. It is denoted by M0. So it's all about the money supply, wherein there are 5 identifiers or 5 indicators: M0, M1, M2, M3 and M4. And the criteria which decides these particular indicators is the liquidity. So we'll see the options. So the first option is currency in circulation. So currency in circulation is the liability of RBI and it is a part of M0 or reserve money. So this is a correct option. Bankers deposit with RBI. This also becomes correct because this becomes the liability for RBI, because it is the deposits of banks which they have kept with RBI that becomes the liability of RBI and it is considered as part of reserve money. Net time deposit with commercial bank. Time deposits mean like FDs, fixed deposit, recurring deposits. These are broad money. Broad money in the sense they are part of M3, broader, lesser liquidity, and they are not considered as part of M0 or reserve money. So this is incorrect. Net demand deposit. Demand deposit is a narrow money or M1. This is also not considered as part of reserve money of RBI. So this is also incorrect. So only 2 options are correct. B is the correct answer for this particular question. Second question is, consider the following. Again we'll see the command first. How many of the above mentioned scenarios can be the potential benefit of internationalization of rupee? Internationalization of rupee means we are moving away from dollars. And it is a step towards ensuring that rupee also become a globally accepted currency or a hard currency. So what would happen if rupee becomes a hard currency or globally accepted? Increase in the value of rupee, obviously, if it becomes a hard currency, it becomes globally accepted, then the demand for that particular currency or Indian rupee would increase, and it would increase the value of the rupee. Reduced requirements of foreign exchange reserves, obviously, if we can transact internationally in terms of external sector with Indian rupees, then we would not be required to keep a high amount of foreign exchange reserves. That would lead to reduced requirement. This is also correct. Increase in capital inflows in the economy, obviously, if India's currency is globally accepted, then foreign investors would be eager to invest in India. So they'll come to India. So that would lead to increase in foreign inflows. Lower cost of capital. So what is the meaning of cost of capital? The interest that is paid on loan or credit. Paid on capital borrowed. So if we can somehow try to push Indian rupees as globally accepted, that would reduce the cost of capital if it is raised in foreign market. So it would be a positive effect and would be a part of internationalization of rupee. But if we see the fifth option, reduction in currency volatility in short term. So what would happen that in long term, suppose over a period of time like say 10 years, the volatility would go down because India's currency would be kept as reserve by various other countries. But in short term, because of higher demand of Indian rupees, it may so happen that the Reserve Bank of India does not have so much currency to cater to the needs of many countries who are demanding Indian rupees. So it may lead to volatility in short term. It is talking about reduction in currency volatility in short term. No, it would lead to increased volatility. So this becomes incorrect as per the question. So out of the 5 options, 4 are correct. So C is the correct option, only 4. So if we see the third question, it is statement 1 and 2 type. Consider the following statement. Statement 1 says the ways and means advance. The WMA is a facility for both the center and states to borrow from the RBI to meet their fiscal deficits target. See, ways and means advances are the facility which is extended by RBI to respective state governments or central government. But they are not, the criteria is that it should be used to fund the temporary mismatch in cash flows. Suppose what happens that if we see the government needs to spend money on a regular basis, so the expenditure is quite frequent and it is defined. But if we talk about the collection or the revenue that is getting generated, the receipts, it may so happen that the receipts are not regular or it is not at an equal interval of time. So it may so happen that there is an expenditure but there is no revenue, although over a period of time, suppose say 1 year, it may so happen that the government may collect it. Suppose at the last year of the fiscal, so last month, so suppose in March they are collecting all the revenues, but in the meantime they have spended money, they want money. That is the temporary mismatch in cash flows. So in that, to ensure that they do not face these hurdles, the ways and mean advances are a facility which has been extended by the Reserve Bank of India. At the same time, there is another facility, that is cash management bill. So first the government would try to use whichever is a cheaper option. So the cheaper option is ways and means advance, that is extended to the governments at repo rates. But there is a limit which is set by the RBI through mutual decision that is taken mutually between the governments and the RBI. At the same time, suppose if the government wants to exceed that particular limit, there is a provision also that they can exceed it up to a particular limit, but the interest that RBI would be charging would be 2% plus repo rate, and that is what it is known as overdraft facility. So the provisions are there to exceed the limit, but the rate of interest that would be charged would be higher. So the first statement is incorrect because fiscal deficit cannot be funded through the ways and means advances provisions. So this becomes incorrect. We do not need to go to the second statement because D would be the correct answer. Still we'll see the second statement. The governments are allowed to draw amounts in excess of their WMA limit, and that is what it is known as the overdraft facility, and this is correct. So statement 1 is incorrect and statement 2 is correct. So D would be the correct answer. So we'll see the fourth question with reference to speculative demand of money. So these are some of the macroeconomic concepts which have been derived out of microeconomics. So speculative demand of money is what defines the liquidity trap. So liquidity trap, you would have heard that there's a certain conditions wherein the interest rates are so low, the policy rates are so low that even if we try to reduce it, it would mean that the monetary policy is redundant and ineffective because the demand is pessimistic in the market and monetary policy cannot alone increase the stability and growth in the market, and that calls for need for government expenditure. But here we will see the speculative demand of money. It is inversely related to rate of interest. This is correct. Speculative, what is the meaning of speculation? Speculation is certain activity that is done to increase profits. So what would happen that if there is lower interest in the economy, lower rate of interest in the economy, so there would be a speculation that in future that interest rate may increase because currently it is so low that it cannot go below that. It is all about it would start increasing from that point. So because of this speculative thinking that it would increase in future, people would start liquidating their bonds. Because bonds are long-term instruments and they will try to hold in money. They will try demanding money so as to ensure that they will try to use that money to their profits when the interest rate would rise. So that is why it is inversely related to the rate of interest. If the rate of interest is low, speculative demand would be very high. This is the idea. Although it is a very complicated concept, it needs certain understanding about the yield rates as well as how the yield rates on bonds are inversely related to the interest, or so you can say that the bond prices are inversely related to the interest rate in the market. It's all about that particular concept. So it's all about that if the demand for bond would go down, the prices of bond would also go down because demand is going down. And if the people are liquidating bonds, they will try to cash in the money and they will try to make sure that they use that money for their speculative purposes wherein they feel that the interest rate would start increasing in future, and that is why the demand for money in speculative purposes, if the interest rate is down, would increase. When speculative demand for money is extremely high, it means if the speculative demand for money is extremely high in which condition? When the interest rate is very low. Is very low. So if the interest rate is extremely low, what becomes ineffective? It is the monetary policy that becomes ineffective, not the fiscal policy. It is the monetary policy that becomes ineffective. So this becomes an incorrect statement because it is saying that fiscal policy becomes ineffective, because in case of lower interest rate, it is that fiscal policy, the government expenditure that comes handy. It is positively related to income level. This is incorrect because speculative demand of money and income levels are two isolated affairs. They do not have any correlation. So A would be the correct answer because only one statement is correct. Fifth question is, consider the following statements. A higher tax to GDP ratio indicates lower reliance on borrowing. This is the idea. If government can mop up higher revenues through tax collection. If tax collection is very high, then obviously fiscal deficit would be low, and if fiscal deficit would be low, there would be lesser probability of going for borrowings in the market. So this becomes a correct statement. India's tax buoyancy has increased consistently in the last 5 years. So this is all about trend. So you need to know about trends about certain macroeconomic parameters like tax to GDP ratio, foreign exchange reserves. You can also talk about the unemployment rate. There are many indicators, the foreign trade. So you need to know about these indicators, how they are performing, what is the trend, the graphical representation. Is it having a constant increment or there is no correlation that could be generated? You need to know. So as far as tax buoyancy is concerned, although it was increasing, but in that fiscal year or financial year 21 or 2020-21, the tax buoyancy went down all because of COVID induced lockdowns. Also, we need to know that 2021 still is within that 5-year band. The timeline from 2019 or 2018-19 to 23-24, and here this 2020-21 is located. So in that particular year, the tax buoyancy went down. What is the tax buoyancy? Tax buoyancy is the percentage increase in tax collection over the last year collection value upon percentage GDP growth rate. In nominal terms. We talk about nominal terms. So if it is more than 100%, that shows that the tax mobilization, the policies of the government is actually effective. Government is collecting more taxes, and that taxes would be used for higher public expenditure. So this becomes incorrect as per the trend. The number of tax filers has increased consistently in the last 5 years. This is correct. India has seen number of people coming into that tax bracket for direct taxes. It has increased from 6.3 crore in 2018-19 to 7.5 crore by 2022-23, and that shows that India's economy is getting formalized, and the tax discipline or tax discipline in terms of more people ready to come under the tax bracket, that is happening, and that would lead to higher tax base, it would lead to higher tax collection, and it would lead to, you can say the government can also think about rationalizing taxes. That would mean that not a few proportion of people are burdened for those tax collection, rather it is more broad based. This is correct. So B would be the correct answer, as 2 statements out of 3 is correct. So the 41st question is, India-UAE trade has consistently increased in the last 5 years. This is factually incorrect, all because 2020-2021 data, this was violated, wherein the trade between the two nations decreased. India has a trade deficit with Bangladesh in recent times. This is also incorrect. In fact, it has very higher trade surplus, and that is why Bangladesh government has certain reservations as far as India's trade with them is concerned, because they feel that there is more in terms of benefits for India if they trade mutually rather than benefits for the Bangladesh. In the last 5 years, China has been India's largest trading partner. This is also incorrect, all because there is a flip-flop between US and China. Sometimes in some years it is the China which is India's largest trading partner, other time it is US. In the last financial year, if I talk about financial year 23 or FY or 2022-23, it was USA. But we can say the recently ended financial year FY 24 or 2023-24, China has again become India's largest trading partner. So there is no consistent data that could assure that China is India's largest trading partner. So this becomes incorrect. D would be the correct answer, as none of the statements are correct. 42nd question is, currency manipulation by the country can boost its export. Currency manipulation is a tendency by the government in fixed exchange rate system generally. So what they do that to ensure that their export baskets are competitive in the international market, they deliberately devalue their currency, and if the currency is devalued, the export competitiveness increases. So that is what is being said in the second statement. It involves artificially devaluing the current country's currency, because if the currency devalues, I am talking about the fixed exchange rate system. In flexible, we'll say depreciation or appreciation. It is revalue or devalue in fixed exchange rate system, wherein the government decides at what particular value the local currency can be pegged with an international currency. So these two statements are actually correct, and statement 2 is explaining as to the reason behind statement 1. So A is the correct answer. So the 44th question is, if you see the command first, how many of the above would be considered part of the invisibles in the balance of payment? So first we need to make componential description about the balance of payment. So BOP has two accounts. One is current account, another is capital. In current, there are two accounts. One is trade account, another is invisible accounts. Trade is specifically related to commodities or goods, and invisibles, which has been asked, it is related with services, the factor income, and net transfers, or the remittance, what we say in colloquial language, remittances. So a gift worth 50,000 USD received by a family in India from its relative in the US would be kind of transfer, and that becomes a part of invisible account. This is correct. Income received by a firm in India from selling gems and jewelry. So what is a gems and jewelry? It is a kind of goods, not a service. So if any trade in goods happen, that becomes a part of trade account, not invisible account. So that is an incorrect statement or incorrect option. Income received from providing of consultancy services. So services is a part of, so services, any service that is happening is a part of invisible account. This is correct. An investment worth 5,000 USD made by US resident into the Indian share market. This is all about capital market. So it is FPI or foreign portfolio investment. It is related with assets and liabilities. So that becomes a part of capital account. So this is also incorrect. So first and third are correct. B would be the correct answer, as only two statements or two options have been correct. The 45th question is, consider the following statements. In case of depreciation of rupees, so rupee is moving from 80 to 84, it is depreciating. If I am taking this example, RBI will sell dollars and buy rupees, this would be the correct idea. RBI would make sure that the supply of dollar increases in the foreign exchange market. In case of appreciation of rupees, export from India becomes more expensive. So it is talking about this movement from 84 rupees to 80 rupees. The trade competitiveness or the demand for India's goods in international market goes down, because for one unit worth of international currency, lower volumes of goods could be purchased from India. That reduces the trade competitiveness. So both the statements are actually correct. C would be the correct answer. 46th question is a factual question. It talks about it says that in how many of the above mentioned sectors 100% FDI through automatic route. So FDI is allowed through two routes. One is government route, another is automatic route. So in case of government route, any FDI which is happening between two partners, it could be two companies or two, you can say, corporates, that needs government approval, that becomes a source of, or you can that route is known as government route, FDI approved through government route. Another is automatic route, wherein no such approval is taken from the, you can say, competent authority, and that becomes any two partners, two trading partners. Suppose a firm in India and a firm in US. A US firm wants to invest in Indian firm in India, and if that particular sector is allowed through automatic route, within that automatic route, you can say, the list, then no such approval needs to be taken from the competent authority or the Ministry of Commerce that basically handles these particular cases. So here we are talking about through automatic route. So which all sectors are allowed? Out of all three, two sectors are only allowed through 100%. So you are talking about 100% automatic route. Food processing, port and shipping, 100% is allowed. But multi-brand retailing, only 51% is allowed. And space sector, there are different components to it. Space sector has recently been allowed or opened for the, you can say, foreign investment, but here they have specifically mentioned that only manufacturing aspects have 100% FDI through automatic route, that is allowed, else operations or launching vehicles and all those things, creation of these facilities or launching ports, these are having certain, you can say, limitations as far as this allowance of foreign direct investment through automatic route is concerned. So this also becomes incorrect. And chit fund is already banned for any foreign direct investment. So this also becomes incorrect. B would be only two options are given. So 2 options are correct. So out of 5, 2 is correct. A would be the correct answer. 47th is a term based DeFi. Often mentioned in news, it is related to crypto. It is decentralized finance, and it has been written DeFi. So it is the use of emerging technologies like blockchain to remove centralized institutions from financial transaction. The idea is to democratize this financing system, wherein all the you can say transacting partners have equal say, rather than a central authority creating you can say a plug or a regulator kind of functions, that is discouraged. So A would be the correct answer. 48th question is again statement based. A higher provisioning coverage ratio, PCR, is considered healthy for banks. So PCR is, suppose there are 100 units or 100 units worth of bad loan, and how much you are actually keeping or setting aside as a proportion of profit, that becomes provision. So higher you provision, better would be for the health or financial health for the bank. So higher provisioning coverage ratio would be good for bank, and ideally RBI mandates that it should be more than 70%, because provisioning coverage ratio is the percentage of funds that a bank sets aside for losses due to bad assets. So there could be a chance that those NPA may turn bad and there could be losses. To recover those losses, bank sets aside a proportion of their profit, that is known as provisioning, and if there is higher provisioning, that would be good for the banks, because it leads to lower burden on the financials for the bank. So both the statements are correct, and statement 2 is explaining as to the main reason or main idea behind statement 1. 49th question is again it's part with the agroeconomy concept. It is more related with the agri export, specifically the marine product. India is the largest exporter of shrimps in the world. Shrimp is a crustacean. So this is incorrect, it is Ecuador. Ecuador is the largest producer as well as the largest exporter of shrimps in the world. Second statement would be correct because Ecuador is the largest producer of shrimps in the world. Tamil Nadu is the largest producing state for shrimps in India. This is also incorrect, it is Andhra Pradesh, not Tamil Nadu. Japan is the largest market of India's shrimp exports, not Japan, it is the United States. So this is also incorrect. Out of 4, only one statement is correct. A would be the correct answer. So the last question which was asked in this particular test related to economy was the 50th question. It says, consider the following statements. Statement 1 says, higher fiscal deficit can be inflationary in nature. This is correct. So how does government finance its fiscal deficit? It is through market borrowing. Market borrowing. If the government runs into fiscal deficit, they will try to take loans from the market by issuing respective government security or G-Secs. But what happens that there is a limited pool for the banks to lend in the market, and if they lend more to the government, they have lower, you can say, proportion for private lending, and that crowds out private lending, because private corporates, they feel that the interest rate in the market has gone up, all because the demand of loan is coming from the government, and that is leading to them getting pushed out of this credit in the market, and that is why the cost of capital, or in local term it is known as, or colloquial term it is known as, the borrowing cost goes up. Because if there is higher demand for anything, higher demand for capital, higher demand for loan, the cost of capital would obviously go up, because the banks would feel that they can increase the interest rate in the market for the loans. So the statement second says, fiscal deficit financed by borrowings can drive up interest rate and increase production cost, and that is why it is known as cost push inflation. Because the cost of land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, any increase in these factors of production which would be considered as cost of production increase or cost push inflation. Because the cost of capital getting increased, it is cost pushed inflation. Ultimately, the brunt would be borne by the consumer, it is passed on to the consumer. So both the statements are actually correct, and statement 2 is explaining the feature of statement 1. So this was all about the questions which have been asked in this test. Thank you.